Willie's out there sinking them yachts?
Oh no, Willie's dead. Willie's
Yeah,
dead.
wasn't that
Well,
what
I
that one
know.
movie
I know
was
Willie
about?
actually is dead, yeah, because that was a whole thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, was that the movie? That was that movie, right?
But
Was that about that one?
spiritual Willie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sure.
The Blackfish?
I,
Yeah, yeah. Tillamook?
oh.
Wait, no, that's the cheese people.
No,
Uh-huh.
isn't that the name of that still? The
It's
cheese
it.
people are also a native tribe, right? And then it was named after that?
Oh,
Oh,
probably.
is that what it is?
Yeah. Am I or a land?
It is
I'm
like
looking up the whale's name
Pacific
because it's really
Northwest, right?
close. Oh, it's Tillicum.
Oh.
Oh.
You just gotta switch the mook and make it come because that's everybody loves when you do that.
Gross.
Um,
Nah. Let me change that number.
yep. Going back to the big board. It's been exactly 2 weeks. We're back to 0.
Let's see. We've been recording for
Not long enough. Yeah, Tillicum, the lovely killer whale that killed some people because you don't put baby in a corner.
Don't put baby in a corner.
And Tillamook is a county and city inside of Oregon. I assume it is maybe native origins. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
I don't know.
I think
Put that
it's
counter
safe
back to
to
0
assume
too.
that
I don't know.
most of many places in this country have indigenous origins, and
Oh yeah.
our
Oh, yeah.
failure to recognize that, generally speaking, like historically, like whatever, it's a real problem. So whether you're buying cheese or naming a killer whale, like think about it a little bit, be
Mhm.
responsible.
Thanks, Nate. You know what? You can move the counter in the other direction.
Don't know if we can.
No, it's not. It's not time yet. That was close.
I'll
That
put
was
a
close, but
0.5.
I don't want to look. I
All
don't want to get special board whiplash from going back and forth anymore. Let's just see if I can build up
I'll
to a
get
full
tired.
episode
Okay. All
by the
right. I
time
think
we're
that's
through.
smart.
And then yeah. Ahoy, listeners! This is Debut Buddies. It's a fortnightly podcast about firsts. My name is Nate. I'm one of the buddies.
I'm Kelly. I'm an additional buddy.
I'm Chelsea. I'm the other buddy.
Yay!
Yay! And this week, we're going to talk about someone who's, tiny, toony, altogether loony, but she's not a cartoon. Or is she? Or is she an angel?
Whoa.
Oh.
We're talking about the first Manic Pixie Dream Girl. So get ready, strap in, grab your headphones and Shin's record, and go to a psychiatrist because it's time to break out of your man funk with this episode.
Oh, man. Wow. Sorry. I was just reflecting for a moment. This week, I did go see my psychiatrist this morning, and I also cut my bangs very crooked. So
They look
now
great.
who's a Manic Pixie Dream Girl?
It's true.
So we learned that Kelly is actually the original Manic Pixie Dream Girl. in
Oh,
this
that's
true.
me.
It's true.
That's me. They were all based on me. I'm an archetype. Been hiding it.
You've been traveling the country hiding, but using an elaborately constructed map that you
Mhm.
designed over thousands of hours. Using boundless resources.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to when you want to pioneer something like that. Although I have to say, I couldn't make any of those decisions on my own because that would be breaking the code of the. I can't do the initialism. MPDG.
DG.
Wow, that is hard for me.
MPDG. So, okay, let's talk about Manic Pixie Dream Girls, and let's just start with what we thought of them prior to anything we did to research for this show.
The main one that pops out to me, it has always been Natalie Portman in Garden State. It was always the number one whenever I thought about it. Whenever anybody used that word, the more research I did, I have a very nuanced take on this, but I will save most of this for later.
Okay.
But that was my before. I've watched a lot of Manic Pixie Dream Girl movies. I watched a lot of them in high school, and I owned a lot of them, and I watched them a lot. So if that tells you anything about who I am as a human,
Sure.
so be it.
Ooh.
Kelly.
I I didn't really watch any in high school. I was trying to think, like I was trying to remember what I had watched. Um, and the only one that I could think of was 500 Days of Summer, which wasn't high school. That was years later. And but I was old enough by then that when I watched it, I took the feminist message from it, which is that like, oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, grow up and take care of yourself. But when I was watching them leading up to this movie, I was like, it is a good thing that I did not watch these in high school because I would have made it my whole personality. Like, I would have become insufferable.
Yeah, I think for my part, because I watched a lot of these things in high school and right after, it was ultimately problematically a thing that I thought was a way people could be, right? It became this sort of illusion of a type of woman that existed and was available, and that this was somehow representative of what like an ideal romance might be, that someone would go these thousands upon thousands of extra miles constantly and do things that actually defy physics, depending on the movie you're watching, like the time-space continuum and such. Like, Garden State, I loved that movie when it came out, and that soundtrack was a phenomenon, the whole thing, and it went from like full on, this is the deepest, most gets me movie that's ever existed, to like, I understand that now, I view this ironically because this is silly, but the soundtrack still slaps, to now going and being like, man, what kind of self-indulgent crap is this?
I know.
And what a terrible hand to deal Natalie Portman, that she's like, I'm a mentally ill sprite who's here to cheer you up because you're going to be extremely popular for the next 12 years. And then you just get to have a podcast with your best friend and continue to be popular while not having to do any other real work. Hashtag Zach Raff.
Is he still popular?
Yeah, well, I mean, he did date what's the best
Florence
person?
Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
Yeah. They're not together
and
anymore,
I thought we
but
canceled
that's
him
what
over
I was like, he bagged the best.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's been canceled. It's just sort of been like, that's lame. And
he was
he was
at least half canceled.
Yeah.
Because of the age gap thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sure. I remember that. It was,
But she's an adult. Was she an adult?
That
Is
I
anybody
can't
really an
remember.
adult?
I don't know.
That's fair.
Not me.
But
That's not a good.
Right?
I need to clear the board again. That's like a bad.
Oh,
that is a
true.
bad
That was
line
gross,
of questioning. Look, I'm just asking questions, but is anybody really an adult? Like,
right after saying,
woof.
I really loved these movies.
Yeah. Terrible stuff.
You were like, I was just asking you guys what you thought first to sort of gauge the temperature.
I want to see how far to Gross Town I can start.
Which way is this episode gonna go?
But no, I mean, I think that there was this definite window of time where it was like, 500 Days of Summer and even New Girl and things, right? Where this became.
I take umbrage with the New Girl.
I agree.
We can get into
completely.
that.
We're gonna get so far into this because I completely
lot.
agree. I think that I learned so much in my research and the things that I read and digging deeper and really going back and watching some stuff and thinking about it more critically.
You know what? For the listeners, should we define what a manic pixie dream girl is for anybody who might not know?
Yeah, I can. I'll finish my last thing, and then we'll dig into the whole shebang. But yeah, generally speaking, I feel like I spent most of my young adult life believing that like manic pixie dream girl was a positive thing. It wasn't even what it was written to represent, which we will get into.
Yeah.
Like, because the declared version is derisive. It's basically like, this movie sucks and this character is not a person. But it took on its life of its own, right? And so ultimately it just became this shorthand for like all of the things that the main character in Gone Girl talks about in her manifesto is like, I had to pretend to be all these things and I got tired of it, right? Now, that story is more complicated than just to be like she was mad and therefore murdered because she was having to be a cool girl. But that concept, it keeps coming back up, and it's very interesting to me because as a man in the late 70s, I have to reflect back on my life. Uh,
As you were saying that, I was like, I wonder what number he's going to say. Because
Right?
I knew it wasn't going to be the real
I
one.
was-
But
it was gonna
like,
be the real one, and then I was like, no, I gotta
let's
go.
find
I gotta go
out.
bigger. And then, of course, 30 more years seems like a reasonable thing. Um, but yeah, I think that it really helps to sort of interrogate how it impacted the way I thought that like relationships with women would go, or the way that I thought
Oh.
women would be, right? Because the whole thing of these characters is that their interiority exists almost solely as a reflection of the interiority of the male character. And
exactly.
sometimes it's actually kind of deep where it's like, well, someone tried to do this, but they just didn't write a real female character. They wrote kind of a flat one because they were filling space. So I don't think it's all
Yeah.
sinister. I think some of it's just laziness and some of it's patriarchal, whatever. But ultimately it was this thing of like, well, yeah, they're just going to be cute people and they're going to do nice things for you because that's how they show that they like you. And they're going to want to change your life. And they're also going to like disappear when they're having a complex thing because they don't want to burden you with it and all this stuff, right? All these things
Mhm.
that sort of, I think, misinformed a generation of young men who maybe read the text for what it was saying.
I feel like I didn't learn this term until there was already the backlash against it. Like I totally missed when it was an idealized concept. I learned about it when people were like, "This is fucked up."
Yeah.
So I sort of entered it at that point. But my very first note when we started talking about doing this episode was like, how did this play and how does it play into like incel culture today?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because all of these are about women who come into a man's life and solve his problems to some extent.
And a man who is generally completely closed off to the world, right? Like
Yeah.
in Garden State and in Elizabethtown, and I mean to a lesser extent 500 Days of Summer, like, but these are all men who show themselves to be bitter, disgusting assholes who have no like emotional balance or an ability to view anybody outside of themselves. And then this woman appears and suddenly they're like, oh my God, everything's better. And
Right.
or to different degrees, the woman like drags them on adventures to show them that life is worth living or the world is bigger than they think or whatever.
Which, okay, so I was thinking about have I known any Manic Pixie Dream Girls in real life? Like, have I known any women who would fit this mold? And I couldn't think of any, but I could think of a boy. And the thing, Chelsea, you know him. And when I start describing it, you'll know who it is.
Okay.
Is it
I
me?
could think of only, yep, it's Nate. He's one of the buddies. No, he was a guy. We went to high school with him. He
Okay.
dated one of our friends, and he would do these elaborate,
Oh.
like,
No.
yep, you know,
No.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. So he would do these elaborate, like, colored with chalk the entire basketball court at the park just for
Yeah,
you, covered your room in post-it notes that say I love you, like whimsical things that in practice were very manipulative and abusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, huh, is this
And
good?
we were also accomplices in those.
Oh,
every
on
time.
multiple, I was an
Ugh.
accomplice because we were in high school and I didn't know yet.
And we were like Manic Pixie Dream Girl. We saw this in a movie.
Well, and because that shit seems fun and it also seems like exaggerated and cute, right? You don't
Yeah,
think about the
exactly.
implications of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do think that you can do big whimsical things, but boy, is there a fine line.
Mm.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it is a dangerous path to walk.
So the term Manic Pixie Dream Girl is coined in the year of our Lord 2007 by Nathan Rabin on the AV Club in his My Year of Flops column. This one specifically titled The Baton Death March of Whimsy, Case File Number 1, Elizabethtown. And I'm just going to go ahead and read a quote from it because it really kind of summarizes everything about his definition of this term when it was used. Kirsten Dunst embodies a character type I like to call the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. See Natalie Portman in Garden State for another prime example. The Manic Pixie Dream Girl exists solely in the fevered imaginations of sensitive writer-directors to teach broodingly soulful young men to embrace life and its infinite mysteries and adventures. The Manic Pixie Dream Girl is an all-or-nothing proposition. Audiences either want to marry her instantly, despite the Manic Pixie Dream Girl being, a fictional character, or they want to commit grievous bodily harm against them and their immediate family. As for me, well, let's just say I'm not going to propose to Dunst's psychotically chipper waitress in the sky anytime soon. I think calling her waitress in the sky is belittling.
Well,
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems with some of this. He has also apologized for some of this stuff.
in
Yeah,
2014.
but his follow-up article was also troubling. Some of the quotes. So the follow-up article in 2014, when he sort of explained, like, y'all used this term in a different way than I was intending.
I think it's used exactly the way that he was intending.
No, he was trying to say, like, the Manic Pixie Dream Girl is a figment,
Mhm.
and people who are writing this are sort of lazy. And then the internet became obsessed with the idea of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl as something to be coveted.
True.
So it was a little bit different. However, in the follow-up article, he was like, you know what? This term didn't actually become popular until a listicle on the AV Club, which I didn't really love the idea of doing. It was proposed by a woman, and she just sort of ran with it. And I was like, okay.
Well, that's where I had the first problem with him is he's the one who's calling out men for lazy writing. And it's like, hey, I'm a man. I'm calling out you for lazy writing for a woman. But you didn't hear any women come up and say that I'm upset with this trope. I'm upset with what has been done with these characters. I'm upset with people writing characters where I have more of a personality. That's what makes me upset about him calling that out. It's like a man.
Wait, I don't think I followed. Will you say that again?
Well, because he is a man and he's trying to call out men on lazy writing
Yeah.
of females, but the females who are in the roles and the females who have, like, they haven't been like, oh, this is a bad character. Oh, I don't like this character. Like, he's not allowing the
Oh.
women to have a voice to say whether or not they agree with the character. It's a man saying a man is writing a character about a woman that's wrong, but a woman
Yeah.
hasn't said that. So I
Right.
don't agree with him saying that.
Well, he did reference Zoe Kazan and
Yeah, he
Saying
references
that
somebody
Zoe
else,
he was
another
Kazan.
woman.
He also clarifies that, like, hey, he says the trope is fundamentally sexist since it makes
Mhm.
women seem less like autonomous, independent entities while appealing props to more than appealing props to help mopey, sad white men self-actualize. Like, he
Yeah.
acknowledges, I think that's what's complicated about his sort of thing here is I assume that it's 2007, you're a young writer, you're at a hot new website, and you're
Yeah.
trying to make a splash talking about a movie that everybody agrees is not very good. And we're going to talk about that movie later too.
Yeah.
So, he's being witty, and to come up with something that is that, like, early internet catch fire as Manic
Yeah, that
Pixie
was
Dream
really
Girl.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
He gets it. He creates a meme. He creates
Mhm.
one of the earliest memes,
Mhm.
and it is in the form of, like, you have to read an article to get this meme, which no one reads a goddamn thing anymore, so I guess something. But yeah, he does this walk back article, and it's kind of like, hey, that's my bad. I shouldn't, we shouldn't be using this to boil down women or their roles. The problem remains, to your point, Chelsea, that this is all sort of men talking about men not writing women well. And that's where some of the other controversy comes up is when Zoe Kazan and Zoe Deschanel and women not named Zoe come out and they're like, hey, I don't think my character
what?
was this, and I think it's shitty that you're putting me in that pile.
A lot of the list that was what is it, Annie Hall, that was based off of Diane Keaton as
Yeah.
a person.
Yeah.
And like some of
Yeah.
these characters are based off of actual people and how they act. The bringing up baby, Katharine Hepburn, that was based on her. Like, these are
Oh.
based on actual people and their personalities, and then being told that this is an archetype that's not real when these
Yeah.
people exist is really damaging to females.
Yeah, you want to run down the list real quick? I have the list here.
Yeah, go for it. I haven't.
hit me
I've
with
only
it.
seen 50%.
I read it.
Number one on the
But
list is
yeah.
Kirsten Dunst's character in Elizabethtown. Number two is Lee Taylor Young's character in I Love You, Alice B. Toklas. You have Natalie Portman in Garden State. You have Goldie Hawn in Butterflies Are Free. You have Kate Hudson in Almost Famous. You have Meg Ryan in Joe versus the
Oh,
Volcano.
so it's a mother-daughter thing. got Goldie Hawn, then you got Kate Hudson. That's
Right? It see
Aw.
the Manic Pixie runs in the genes.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
would be heritable for
Uh,
sure.
Shirley MacLaine in The Apartment, Barbara Streisand in What's Up, Doc, Diane Keaton in Annie Hall, Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's, Melanie Griffith in Something Wild, Charlize Theron in Sweet November, Winona Ryder in Autumn in New York, Rachel Bilson in The Last Kiss, another Zach Braff
Yeah,
movie,
Zach Braff, what you doing?
and Alicia Cuthbert in My Sassy Girl. And I haven't seen several of those, but yeah, I think
Most of
I
them
think
I haven't
the
seen.
important thing to look at with this list is like I've seen The Apartment, I've seen Joe versus the Volcano, I've seen Almost Famous, Garden State, Elizabethtown, Annie Hall, Breakfast and Tiffany's, Something Wild. I think that's all of them.
Man, you really
And
were
Bringing
in
Up
a Manic
Baby.
Pixie Dream Girl phase, for sure.
Well, I mean, I've seen all these movies in like later in life, different contexts, and I would fully agree with any woman disagreeing with this list and be like, no, these characters are all
Yeah.
very different and interesting, right? Like Audrey Hepburn is not a manic pixie dream girl in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Like
I
she's
haven't seen it.
she's a complexly sad person who's trying to survive in New York and live high society life.
Man, I even felt like Kirsten Dunst in Elizabethtown wasn't as vacant as
Yeah.
his article. Like, I read these articles and the lists and all of these opinions before I had seen the movie. And then going into the movie, I was like, she's actually saying a bunch of stuff that really resonates with me.
Right? Sorry.
I think that I don't know that they're right.
And then you're like, am I a manic?
Am I one? Is it earlier when I was like, I don't think that I know any?
You're like,
Is it
is it a
is
mirror?
it that
Is it
trope
me?
where you're like, if you can't think of it in your friend group, it's you?
I think there's something to be said here about how cynicism and its evolution plays into this, right?
Oh.
This term comes out in 2007, and 2007 is like the mid 90s, another point in time when it's like, I mean, and the 80s is whatever. Like every decade has its turning point moment where we get a
Okay.
little more cynical, right? Where like the thing that used to be cute or something that we would take sincerely no longer works,
Mhm.
right? Like in the late 2000s and 2010s, sincerity in our culture largely died / disappeared, right? Like we went to full irony
Mhm.
about almost everything.
Yeah.
Even, people were doing like even showy, affectionate things were done with a tinge of irony. All of our pop culture was about like The Office and all these things where
Yeah.
this is us laughing at people who aren't aware that we're laughing at them. That's what's funny. Is people
Yeah.
we don't want to go on an emotional journey with a person who we identify with. We want to poke fun at someone who's got something wrong. Most of these movies are hinging on this weird, very basic concept of sincerity that isn't perfect, right?
Mm.
But like there is an underlying sincerity to Garden State or Elizabethtown, which is like, hey, like your life falls apart
Yeah.
sometimes and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And if someone was actually there to care enough about you to remind you that there was something to live for, you might feel better. And wouldn't that be nice, right? There's still fantasies, but there's a sincerity to it that I think is why it lands well the first time and gets worse the more you watch it, because you start to poke holes in the whole thing. And because we all get more cynical as we age, because we see countless things that we believe to be possible disappear.
I'm like, no, I'm just real sad. Okay.
I know.
I'm sorry.
You're right, though, but I'm sad.
Some of this thought ties into some of the other like kind of anti-women terms in media that were attached to the articles that I read. Terms like fridging and
What?
damsel in distress and
Fridging?
Mary Sue and the Smurfette principle. So yeah, fridging is a thing where basically if you're looking at comic books or any story, video games, comic books, any sort of media where a male character's impetus for taking action is that their partner, their female person is killed. And it's taken, I believe, from, I'm trying to remember if it's Green Lantern or something like that. It's a superhero comic, but the thing is that he actually like finds his girlfriend dead in the fridge.
Oh,
And so the term is fridging, and it spurs this revenge run, right? Where it's like, now I have to do something. I was going to not fight back, but now I have to fight back, right?
I see. Okay.
So, and the thing is that like,
we already have a word for that, avenging.
yeah, sure. But it is the idea of like, we're just going to make a female character so we can kill her off.
Oh,
To use
I see.
her death
I see,
as
I
the
see.
reason why something happens. And it's a really popular trope. It still happens all the time in all kinds of forms of media. But we're looking at it more thoughtfully now, because the problem is when it's done without any sort of emotional attachment or care, you just start to see women as like, oh, well, they're disposable and they are just a reason to take action, not a person who had a life or dreams or anything like that.
Yeah. I do think that we see that with not just women, though. Like, in some ways, Batman's parents have been fridged.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like
Absolutely.
you can do it with anybody who
You can fridge anyone.
You can fridge anybody.
Yeah. Bernie?
They're like,
didn't that happen in that movie? Didn't he put people in a fridge?
in what
Jack
movie?
Black?
Yeah. No, I
Not
think
about
it does,
Bernie
right?
Sanders, not the documentary. Sorry.
Is he in a fridge? Is that where those mitten pictures came from? And then the Smurfette principle,
Yeah,
like
that?
lone woman in a group of men.
Yep.
She's not like other girls.
Her only
Yeah.
reason for being there is to show that there is someone
Is a
other than the men, right?
I see.
Cool.
Because
Okay.
Smurfette doesn't
Love
have
that.
any characteristics other than the fact that she's
She's a
wearing a little white dress, right?
Cool.
That's it. She's got blonde hair. She's wearing a little white dress. She's the lady.
Oh, cute.
Because even Vanity has a feminine persona, so it's not like she's adding that to the group.
Vanity?
Vanity
Is that another
Smurf.
Smurf? Oh, gotcha.
Oh,
Vanity Smurf
Weird.
is like the
This
one
is
that always
not-
has the mirror, and he's always preening and grooming.
Oh,
and
no,
I thought it was
I-
another girl.
I don't know any of
Okay,
this.
Yeah.
we are
No, yeah.
not
He's,
Smurf. We're not up on the Smurf lore.
hey, look.
Smurf is not a
There's
part of
really no
my-
reason to be smurfing your Smurfs in 2020 Smurf.
thanks.
But yeah, like, and
That'd
Mary
be
Sue
a better
also.
year than 2024.
I would
2020
hope
Smurf.
so.
I
That's
would.
true.
I would take 2020 Smurf over anything else.
Yeah, no, I second that.
And Mary Sue also being like anytime a female character is good at a number of things, this gets thrown around. Like a bunch of the toxic Star Wars people all just were like, oh, raise Mary Sue because she can do anything. She can just do everything and she doesn't have to work for anything. And that's weird. We're just, and then it gets claimed to be some sort of like left-wing conspiracy of the idea that,
Oh, sure.
now women can just do everything. So that's bullshit. And it's like, okay, guys, but I guess part of my point in bringing all of these up is that we start throwing these labels around when we become unable to look at things. Like we think that, because what I think I'm gonna try to be maybe semi-empathetic to Nathan Rabin's sort of position, which is like, you're sitting down to write that article thinking, I'm going to address something that I am analytically studying about film in my time, right? But that doesn't make it true. It's just it's a hypothetical claim that takes off because it's catchy sounding, but there's not necessarily a deep like researched basis around it, and it just ends up being kind of a reaction to a negative reaction to the film.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like the way this one was written, so clearly there's this new type of character that's just going to exist. And it's like, well, no, maybe this is actually a call for us to look at our sort of inherited and absorbed misogyny and patriarchal way that we look at the structure of story, rather than being like, this is a manic pixie dream girl. It's like, no, this is evidence of a culture that devalues women in almost every single depiction. And this is one of the more favorable ways of trying to depict a woman, but she is a foil for a man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think that initial article, there is something there. Like you're saying, this is an interesting topic to discuss. Now, was the AV Club the avenue to do that? No. Was a glib, I don't know, 500-word article, if that, the way to introduce it? No. but I also recognize that it wasn't meant to be this, right?
Yeah.
All it was meant to be was a little like
A little article about one
glib.
movie.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was a snarky little catchphrase thing that then
Yeah.
took on a life of its own.
And to his credit, it's not a good movie.
No, it is not a good movie.
It had so much potential.
So are we segueing into talking about the movie? Because I have one thing to say about it. Not only did I have a lot of potential, I don't have one thing. I have a million things to say about it. But
I
I'm going to
was
say
like,
this about it
I
right
have way
now.
more things.
I have so many things to say about it. I'm going to say this because I know you guys will be honest no matter what my opinion is. So please be as honest as possible. It was one of my favorite movies. I bought it multiple times on DVD. I did not remember it. I rewatched it this week. But I figured out, okay, I mean, I'm a Lord of the Rings girly, so seeing Legolas there, it was why I wanted to watch it in the beginning. But rewatching it, that's the worst fucking part of the movie. Orlando Bloom cannot act. They have the chemistry of like, she tried so hard.
Yeah.
He was like broccoli. And I was like, look, I'm not okay with this either, but you should have put Tom Cruise there. Tom Cruise would have done it. He would have sold it. It would have been great. And I was very disappointed because this movie could have been so amazing had it been somebody else that could sell that character. If that character had emotion, that would have been a great movie. And it probably would not have been such a stark contrast for Kirsten Dunst's character, but because he had no fucking personality, it fucking ruined it.
Nothing. He was, I was like, go girl, give us nothing. Like nothing.
Yeah.
And then it had me thinking back, like, have I ever seen him give a good performance?
No. The answer is
I don't
no,
think
not
I-
even in
I
Lord
don't
of the
think I
Rings, but
have.
let's not talk about it.
He's given
very
two good
pretty.
performances. Both of them involve him standing on a device that is surfing across some sort of thing, right? When he rides a shield in Lord of the Rings, Two Towers,
that was
I think.
I don't know. That made me laugh. That was supposed.
It's
It's
cool,
so great.
but it's
That was
cool
what
when
he
he
meant
does
to
it.
do.
And then when he's hanging dong on that paddleboard in the meme that went around last year, where he's like, "Wow, Orlando Bloom's got quite a hog on him." Great performance, good work.
That's
I mean,
not even a performance.
Well, hey, look, he's a shower, and showing is essentially a performance.
So it wasn't even erect. Definitely not a performance.
But okay, part of the problem is Orlando Bloom is cast because Lord of the Rings has been popular, because he's now the it guy, because he's been in Pirates of the Caribbean also.
Oh yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean. He was fine in that.
He's handsome.
It's fine.
I don't remember
He's a
him.
handsome guy. Here's the thing that he's doing in Pirates of the Caribbean that he's not doing here, which makes him fine. He's just speaking in his regular Australian accent. I think he's Australian.
Okay.
The problem
that was
is
my question.
Is he
he's
Australian?
capable of acting in an English accent in this movie. He seems like he is confused about how to inflect sentences.
Yes.
And
There
so
was
when he's like angry on the phone talking to somebody, he's like choking on the words because I think he's so focused on don't say mate at the end of the sentence, whatever the fuck. He might not even be Australian.
I think he's
he is.
British. I think
Maybe
he's
he's
British.
British.
I don't know what he is, but I couldn't remember what his real accent was. And so this whole movie, I was like, is he doing a bad American accent, or is this part of him being a bad actor?
So
like,
he's
is he
English.
American and he's doing such a bad job that it
No.
sounds like the accent is fake?
No, his accent is just bad. But when I was watching it, I was like folding laundry and I heard him say the word more, and it sounded exactly like Stuart Townsend sounded as Lestat in Queen of the Damned. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, so is that a British thing? Do the British people say it that way? I think he's Irish. But I was like, when he said it, it was like, same. He said it exactly the same, and it immediately clicked in my brain. And I was like, I'm not going to be
That's
able
so
to
funny.
like enjoy this movie because you don't look like Susan Sarandon or Judy Greer at all. Sorry, so many problems.
He doesn't look like dad at all either.
No.
And we see the dad as a corpse, and in some photos. He's English. Yeah, look, Orlando Bloom, not a good actor. That's part one.
No.
Part one is that this movie was cast
Very
because
pretty,
he was
not
the handsome. Yeah, he was a handsome, pretty guy. Like, what are you doing,
Yeah.
right? And Kirsten Dunst, obviously, a very attractive, very like
Love
on
her.
the rise actress. So it's just like, let's slap these two people together. and hope that the exact same story as Garden State, where the other parent dies instead of the one that dies in the
Yeah.
one, which is weird because these movies are 1 year apart.
Yeah.
But they must have been
Parallel
in
thinking.
production.
Yeah, they had to have
parallel,
similar
right?
production.
Yeah.
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 One didn't start production immediately after and was like, I saw Garden State.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
get
yeah.
this going.
No, I
Right,
mean that
yeah.
would be wild
Quick,
if
quick,
Cameron
quick,
Crowe
get it
was
out.
like, if Cameron Crowe got on the phone and was like, "Hey,
I just saw this
Chuck,
movie. We
it's
have
your
to do it
cousin
for
Marvin
now.
Barry. I've got that movie you're looking
Yeah.
for."
Especially, I did hear that this was one of those cursed movies that gets like rewritten and rewritten and rewritten and
Oh.
then recast and
You
recut.
can tell.
Like,
You can see it on
yeah,
the
you
screen.
can.
All the rewrites are on the screen.
yeah. But there were some parts that this isn't about Manic Pixie Dream Girl at all.
Sure.
There were just some parts of this movie where even though Orlando Bloom was giving me nothing, the like writing landed and I would
Yeah.
laugh. Even though
Right?
like,
it was
sure.
so upsetting
like-
that this had so much potential.
it's like there is so much potential, especially God, they played this wrong every single time. The dad, how his like catchphrase was, well, if it isn't this, it would be something else. Like that's so funny. That's such a funny way to describe your dad dying. Like,
Mhm.
oh my God.
But there
Yeah.
were
And
some
this movie
really heavy
just-
lines that like just floated through without any
Yes.
like the part where she's like
Substitute
walking-
people.
that part, but the part where they're walking in the airport and Susan Sarandon goes, "Oh my God, I was about to start everything and now
Yeah.
I can't." Like she was just talking about how they were about to start their lives and now it's ended. And like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you're just gonna gloss over that. And then it immediately goes into that catchphrase. And I was like, you didn't even give me time to process that. That should have like
Yeah.
given me a second to take that in.
Well, especially since that's sort of the thesis of the movie and it doesn't like I don't feel like we hit it.
No.
Like we just sort of circled around it for 2 hours.
Yeah, I think the problem is that Cameron Crowe is capable of writing some interesting lines, obviously, and
Hmm.
capable of touching on a very interesting subject. But this movie is, I don't know whether it's the editing or if it's just the choices of takes that they went with. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like a cohesive thing most of the time. It feels like each
It's very
each
stuttering.
scene's running into
Mm.
something different, like tonally speaking. Because you have these things where like you're building on this romance between Claire and whatever, I can't remember what his name is.
Legolas.
Legolas,
Yeah,
yeah.
Legolas.
Claire and Legolas
Yeah.
are kind of falling in love.
Mhm.
And you have this thing where like the pacing is becoming kind of charming and interesting, and it's like, oh, it's about this now. But then we
Mhm.
kind of cut immediately away to, new, big, dramatic, heart-wrenching stuff, which is fine because
Mhm.
it's a heart-wrenching time. I don't know. It's just like, it's a movie about a guy who loses his job that he's had for 8 years designing a sneaker that was like
One sneaker.
undeniably hideous.
Mhm.
Like at no point.
I'd buy it.
Like the suspension of disbelief. The
It's like
shoe
walking
is
on clouds.
fine, other than the fact that it has like shark fins on either side of it, which
Oh,
means
it's a
you're going to
stingray?
trip yourself
Here's what
all
I'm
the
saying.
time. Like
Oh my
they
God,
are
you're
they are
right,
not
Chelsea, it's a
functional for
Yeah,
running.
he has a stingray at the beginning and he's like, stingray.
I didn't
And it's called the
even
Spasmodica.
clock that. I'm just saying these shoes are not nearly as ugly as, say, the Yeezys.
That's what I was
which
gonna
are
say.
incredibly
Sure.
The
popular.
ones that look like feet. Wait, no, is that the right one?
God, I was thinking about the elongated Crocs one.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, those
I do
weird
love
croc.
Crocs, but I hear that they're really bad for your arch
Mm.
support. And I think I
Yeah.
have been hurting my feet recently because I've been wearing my Crocs a lot. Haven't been gardening, but plan on it. This like
Are you at the
preemptive. I'm wearing
beach?
the Crocs, so then it gets me out gardening, you know? Sorry.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
they're
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
gateway shoe
Yeah.
to a
I'm
That's
like,
what
if
they
I wear
say
it more,
about-
I will go garden.
Yeah. That's what they say about getting you to the gym. Just put on your shoes
Mm.
and maybe you'll go out the door.
The movie opens on what is inarguably like a selfishly stupid way to go. Like he could literally any other life conflict would have been more interesting. It would have been more interesting if he
Oh,
just
after
got
that.
like if he just lost his job and broke up with Jessica Biel. That would have been enough. And then, oh,
Mhm.
your dad's dead too. That's all plenty. It's really hard to
Yeah.
relate to a character who's supposed to be a wonderkin who was recruited to a major corporation out of high school, has been in an 8-year program to design one sneaker that got no oversight whatsoever, which is absurd, and then is now
Yeah.
being thrown under the bus for said awful chain of events. It's like, I don't care. And then the fact that it's also this kind of like tongue-in-cheek suicide thing where he's going to tie a knife
So
to his
funny.
exercise bike and
Yeah,
ram
that's it. I
himself
like
into it.
that part.
That's
Like-
so funny. That got me so good. Except that his performance is so bad. See, but I think I know, whole movie. But I think that the reason that we have all of these absurd things leading up to it is because this movie was supposed to be deeply ironic, and something got lost.
Well, yeah, no
Something
one
got lost.
seems to know exactly. Like Kirsten Dunst knows what character she's playing, and she's playing
Yeah.
it.
And Alec
She's doing
Baldwin knew.
And yeah, and
Alec
Baldwin
Baldwin.
is definitely doing his part.
He understood the assignment in a way that not many other people in the movie did.
I think Susan Sarandon did well.
Oh, she
Yeah.
knew. She understood entirely.
But Susan
Yeah.
Sarandon has that speech at the end at the funeral that is like, it would be interesting, but it doesn't quite work because she seems adrift on stage by herself. And it's like, wait, are we doing a one-man show? Are you supposed to be breaking? Like, what's going on here? It was just
no.
odd.
She's Kirsten Dunst 30 years from now.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
she's
good
just
point.
grown up Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Because
Is what
she
we're doing there.
did. She took him to Disney World. She was the Manic Pixie Dream Girl for him
Yeah,
at
yeah,
that
yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Was very rude that he was engaged, and she was too. But
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she. This movie is
Almost
his
good.
parents' story, but yeah, it's almost good.
Almost good.
It's almost like I think that honestly, I think that we could even take this script,
Mhm.
do a remake, no edits, and
Yeah,
it could be good.
yeah, and like if we talk about Cameron Crowe as a writer director, the movies that he has done have been like 10 out of 10 every time. Jerry
Yeah.
Maguire. That's why I said Tom Cruise. I know it's upsetting. I don't like Tom Cruise, but every time I watch Jerry Maguire, I'm like, but do I love him? And then after I get done, I'm like, no, I don't. I'm okay. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Almost Famous is a good movie. Yeah.
Mhm.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Say Anything.
Those he wrote.
Yeah.
Didn't
Well,
direct, yeah.
didn't direct. Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of like really falls off he falls off quite a bit
After
after
Elizabeth
Almost
Town?
Famous.
Oh.
Well, yeah.
Was
And-
that
and-
Elizabethtown?
Well, I think Elizabethtown is a little bit of the tipping point because like it's that, and then
It ended his
Vanilla
career.
Sky. He does Vanilla Sky also with Tom Cruise, which is not the worst movie in the world, but it's not particularly
The best
good. It's
movie.
pretty uneven.
He did Singles. Sorry, I forgot about that, and I just pulled it back up.
Yeah, he's an interesting director.
Aloha wasn't great.
Aloha's
Where we
not
bought a
good.
zoo was cute.
Yeah.
We did buy a zoo. And that acting was okay. It was Matt Damon. Everyone loves Matt Damon. Wait, was it Matt Damon?
It's Matt
Okay,
Damon
good.
and Scarlett
I
Johansson.
was like, I
right?
would have probably just changed that up if I needed to. Yeah, it is.
But yeah, Aloha, the movie that famously cast Emma Stone as a native Hawaiian,
Yikes!
as a Asian
Whoopsies.
woman of
This is the first I'm
not
hearing
great.
of
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Hey, it happened in 2015. How would you have known?
Oof. No, I had just learned what Manic Pixie Dream Girl means
Yeah,
then.
you were. You're like Soviet Russia. You're just now getting.
She
deep.
wasn't it? That is what Emma Stone was in the movie, though. She was the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, right?
Yeah.
To George Clooney.
Oh. Whoa.
No, because George Clooney's descendants. That was the Hawaiian.
Oh, okay. Did
he
I make
was
that
in.
up? Okay.
It is.
Ooh.
I think
Bradley
it's John.
Cooper.
It's John. Oh yeah, no, you're right. It's Bradley Cooper. That's right.
Oh,
John
and Alec
Krasinski's
Baldwin's
also
in it
in
as
it,
well.
and Baldwin's in it. Yeah,
Oh.
that movie's not good.
I didn't watch it, so thank you. You saved me time.
My thing about the movie is a lot of my problem about Elizabethtown is actually the ending. I mean, one, it's that it's
I
very
agree.
uneven. Like, I don't know what's going on most of the time emotionally until you hit these moments where like the scene goes long enough that you're like, oh, I get it, right? Like that Susan Sarandon speech does ramp up to the point where she starts to crack, and I was like, oh, good, I'm feeling something here because it's
Yeah.
clear that this is more than she's gone from suddenly doing a heel turn where instead of not going at all, she's suddenly here, and now she's doing her 5 minutes that she's been
Mhm.
practicing.
Well, in which also mirrors what's happening in her life, right? Like
Sure.
her drip of a husband finally died, and now she's doing all of these things that she always wanted to do, which is sort of a lesson for Legolas. Like,
Just go
let the
do the
Manic
thing.
Pixie Dream Girl be the Manic Pixie Dream Girl for you. Don't
Stop
stop her
being
from
a
living her
glum little
life.
asshole that wants to kill himself over losing a job that no one should rightly have in the first place. Like, go get another job.
Listen, sometimes you want to kill yourself about your job.
Like,
I'm
that's
not
fair.
going to critique
And I'm not
that.
saying, look, I'm not saying that, but I don't think that the movie is saying that that's the case. I think if he keeps the job, he has no mental issues.
Is it
Like,
about the
I
job
think
or
that's the
about the
implication.
ego?
Yeah, it's about the
I
ego.
think it's the ego.
It's about the fact that he can't see past the fact that, like, dude, just like go
He can
take your
lose-
shirt off and stand on Hollywood Boulevard. You will
He'd
get
be
work.
fine.
Yeah.
It's not a
He-
problem.
But he lost his job. But the part that he was most worried about was everyone knowing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the saddest part. I did
Well,
really
it's sort of
just
a
like-
family legacy, which I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The legacy of the family. But I did, in terms of family, taking out the man. I'm going to talk about this movie outside of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl parts. I did really love the scenes with the family and what the family meant.
did
And
too.
like, I thought that if you had focused, and that's where I think it became disjointed as well. Like, the Manic Pixie Dream Girl wasn't part of the family stuff. And like, it just became really disjointed in those two storylines that he had in his life. And I thought that there would
Yeah.
be some joining in it. Maybe that would have been the end. That would have been good. But
Mm-hmm.
not having like that come together. I don't know. They could have
Yeah.
just ended up in Elizabethtown and he could have been and she could have moved there with him, right? That would have been cute, but like except for Paula Deen. We don't need her in movies.
No. Yeah, Paula Deen is canceled. Butter and all.
I was like, whoa.
She did give a good performance,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, she was great
convincing.
doing what she's supposed to do. Yeah, the ending of the movie is cuckoo bananas because you have to imagine she creates a massive map and mix CD project for him to get from Kentucky to California.
Yeah. No, Oregon. Come on.
Is it Oregon?
That's a whole plot point. That's a whole plot
All right,
point.
fine.
They say
It's a big
California
plot
the
point
whole
that's
time, and
repeated
he's
a lot.
constantly like, it's Oregon.
Okay.
And then
well,
they accidentally say California and then everybody laughs.
Yeah.
well, this is why that part stuck with me because they kept driving it into the ground. That's a long drive. And,
Yeah.
and an elaborate
42
project.
hours, I think, is what she
An
said.
elaborate project. Now, the ending of the movie hinges on the idea that about 8 hours into the 22-hour drive, she has built in a let's just bail on this whole thing. But I made all of it, but bail on the whole thing.
No, was that 8 hours? Where was that?
It was
I thought that
Nebraska.
like
it was
Disneyland.
it was at
Oh,
some.
did you look
Oh.
up Nebraska, the world's second largest farmers market?
That's what it says on
Nebraska's
the
pretty
things that I
far.
read about. Yeah, Nebraska's pretty far, but you
Like
still
a
have
day
quite a
drive
bit of
after
the
that. I
American
don't
West.
know.
You have to go across. You have to go across Kansas, Colorado.
No,
All
that's
the
if
way
you
up.
go north. If you're going to Nebraska, you're
He went through
going-
Arkansas.
But then he's going like this. So then I went, woof.
But did you notice he went to Dinosaur Land
I
in
did.
Arkansas?
That's why I
which
purchased
we
the movie when I was in high school because I was like, hey,
That
it's
makes
Dinosaur
sense.
Land. And Eureka's
But we talked
Jesus.
about that.
We did.
Yeah, and the Jesus.
And
Yeah.
the Jesus.
But
But we talked about that in our episode on the ball sack, the dinosaur
yeah, the first fossil.
first fossil.
The but look, my issue is
The ball sack.
to create that map and those CDs that feature her doing voiceover in between each and every track. It would seem.
That's true.
Plus
question
all of the
about
little
that.
photographs and the notes. and
Oh,
all
the
art and
voiceover was the
collaging.
notes, right? The notes were.
The
it was just
voiceover
her
was the
reading
I assume
notes.
it's a mix of things. I think look, the point of the whole ending is to demonstrate this superpower she has to have created what was probably a 200-hour long map project, an art thing,
But we
to
don't know
present
that.
to him, knowing that she wants him to abandon the last 2/3 of it.
I took this
1/3.
as
Nebraska's pretty close.
Nebraska's not that
much more
Nebraska's
north.
pretty
I'm
far
gonna
away
look
from
at a
Oregon.
map.
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna look at a map. I stayed in Nebraska.
see-
You're right. Nebraska is much closer. Okay, I stayed in a 1-day drive. I did 2 days and then 1 day. You're right. 2/3. Oh shit. Okay, I've disproven
See,
myself
but
in the midst of
she,
this.
I'm going to defend this for a couple of reasons. One, have y'all not like planned out road trips that you might take one day?
Oh, all the time. This is one that I was
Yeah.
like, I don't think that this is super outlandish because
No, me
I
either.
plan out my playlist and what I expect to feel and hear at certain times. And like,
And we
But
established
she planned
early
it for
on.
him. That's the thing. That's
Listen.
No,
nuts.
no, 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 no.
It's
Listen.
No, no, no.
different.
She had the road trip planned, and she just had to make the little scrapbook for him.
Yeah.
That's an afternoon crafting project. We're talking
Which
a
is
bottle of wine and a
fun.
glue stick.
She was
Yeah.
taking. She planned a road trip
Listen to the
from
Manic Pixie
the
Dream
town
Girls.
where his dad lives to the town where he lives currently, with stops that were representative of his relationship and unfulfilled stuff with his dad, so that they could take a father-son road trip across the country.
What were the
together.
stops?
Seeing
Like,
Martin
they-
Luther King's.
Yeah, they stop at all these.
That wasn't about his dad, was
Yeah,
it?
I think
That
the
was
whole
He
just-
thing
did
was
drop his
him
dad
having a
there,
dad
but
road
I don't
trip.
know why.
Like,
Yeah, it
No.
is a road trip with his dad.
It is a road trip with his dad.
But she's
but these
well
stops,
traveled because she is
yes,
a
through
flight
the air.
waitress.
waitress
She's
in
an
the
airline
Flight
sky.
attendants not tending to be roadway people.
But we establish early on that she is a huge fan of the solo road trip.
She
I
is
do
a
not
huge
think
fan
that
of
this
solo
is
road
out
trip.
of the realm of possibility, especially because I don't think that these stops were significant, specifically because to him and
to
his dad.
him,
I mean,
but they were to her.
because they were to her. And there is a specific line that I think supports this, which is, here's a beautiful part of the river. If I were your dad, this would be a great place to be scattered. Like, not, oh, this is from your dad, but like, this is beautiful and he wanted to be scattered on water. Here is some beautiful water on a road trip that you did always want to take with him. Not necessarily this path,
Mhm.
but throw a handful out the way.
And there's also like, oh, here's a tree. It's my favorite tree in the world.
Yeah.
Like it
Sure.
is. I think the road trip is her.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
agree.
more of a definition of who she is. And it's something that he can share with his dad since he never shared anything with him.
Right.
And that's fair.
We're talking ourselves into the movie again.
I'm saying
It's a
that it's a
good
good
movie.
script. It's a good script, bad performance.
I buy that that's what may be intended.
Mhm.
I think the problem is that, again, to go back to the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope and the sort of negative things that and the incel creating problematic aspects of it. No man should expect a woman to write up a 500-page road trip manual for him.
No.
They shouldn't expect
And
it.
think-
But when they get it, they should be happy.
Well, sure. And he kind of isn't until he goes and sees his ugly ass. Somehow this
Yeah,
farmer's
he's,
market has his ugly shoes for sale.
I know.
And he finds a note in one of those unsold shoes.
Pretty impressive.
None of this makes any sense.
Hey,
There's absolutely
hey,
no
I
way.
have a question.
How
I
many
have a
days was
question.
she sitting at that farmer's market waiting
Six-
for him to
6
show
days.
up?
500. That's how we got the next movie. No, okay. I have a question. Here's my biggest plot hole question about this movie. These shoes were listed as recalled.
Yeah.
What?
Well, yeah, why were they
How
recalled?
do
Did
shoes
people-
get recalled?
Well,
was
because they
it-
got pulled from stores, I think. They were like going to be released. The
Yeah.
initial press on them was so terrible. They were like, "Fuck, pull them back. We're not gonna let this."
But
Which is stupid
the-
because weirdos would buy them just to have them. It is a
Didn't-
bad
they would. There's that
business
kid who's
decision.
like obsessed with them. But the truck that's returning them, all of the boxes have the word
Recall.
recall stamped on
Yeah.
them.
But
Like,
also-
what do you mean?
in the movie Idiocracy, they're all wearing Crocs because they were like, these are the stupid shoes. No one will wear them.
Sure.
Everyone wears Crocs. It is
Yeah.
the Yeezys are Crocs.
Yeezys
all
are
are
Crocs.
There's no reason why, if those shoes were recalled, they could be for sale at a farmer's market. That's problem one, right? If the company is going to an Atari
does the farmer's
recalling
market go to the
ET level
dumpster?
of thing,
Yeah.
yeah, like your worst case scenario is they get buried in a hole in New Mexico, and your
Mhm.
best case scenario is they get donated to an African
A
country,
third world country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Where it's like these people are wearing these hideous shoes and 1987 Denver Broncos world champion T-shirts. Those are the
Yeah,
things
exactly.
available. Neither of those things happen. Somehow there appears to be a merchandised pyramid of these ugly shoes at a farmer's
Mhm.
market, which begs the question of like, are they saying people in Nebraska are this stupid? Or
Well,
are they saying that Kirsten Dunst somehow acquired the shoes to create a pyramid? And this is what plays
Huh.
into Roger Ebert's amazing 2008 revisiting review theory about this movie, which is called the Angel Theory.
what?
Oh, this is what you were talking about.
I
Go
was
on.
confused as well.
Say more.
So Roger Ebert gives this movie like I think 3 out of 4 stars because he kind of liked he thought it was cute,
Oh,
right?
because he
Writing.
understood the writing, but he
The
hated
writing
performances.
is good.
Because I think he's fully in Cameron Crowe's pocket at the time, and he's
He
an older
should.
guy, so he's viewing the movie from a non-cynical place. He's just like, this is a cute romance movie that happens, and it's got a bunch of good famous people in it, so why not? But the movie, he gives it this review. It's not the best review he can give, but he gives a decent review. And then he comes back in 2009 and he writes a follow-up. And he's like, hey, a lot of people think this movie is terrible. Let me talk to you about this thing that I think I totally understand all the concerns about the flatness of Kirsten Dunst's character and how she doesn't seem to have enough dimension to be a fully realized human. And here's what I think. I think Cameron Crowe doesn't mean for her to be a human. I think she is the angel that is sent from heaven to save Orlando Bloom's character. And here's why.
She doesn't meet the family.
He goes through a list of things, which is she appears initially bathed in, she's backlit with light because he's sitting in the back of the plane, and she comes out of nowhere in the sky and asks him to come to first class. She tries to start leading him right there. She talks about a man named Ben who she's kind of on the outs
Probably
with.
Jesus.
The implication was that Ben
mhm.
has 3 letters, God has 3 letters, that she's like, basically, this is a thing of like, hey,
I
look,
feel like there's a tinfoil hat in this, and I'm loving
Yeah,
it.
Chelsea's leaning in. I'm leaning out.
it's on the nutty end of things. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I do think it's an
I
interesting
do.
option.
I'm in.
All of it basically is like, hey, look, Elizabethtown is basically like it's this sort of restorative place. He does. I should just look the thing up and read you some of these little notes because it's interesting.
While you're in the midst of that, I'm going to say the soundtrack to this also rocks because it's 90% Tom Petty.
Yeah.
And that's
I know.
best.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the other thing, right? Cameron Crowe is so good at soundtracks that that makes this movie 40% more watchable. Like the performances don't have to be good because you're like, oh, I know what's happening because the music is telling me what's happening.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. There's only one bad performance. Everybody else did at least okay.
Everyone did all right.
Yeah.
Even Mark Brandanowitz, that's his character in Parks and Rec. Do not know his actor name.
Yeah,
But
he's playing Mutton Chops, the
Sideburns.
guy that
Yes,
Yeah, he
thank
did
you.
according to this angel theory, he's Jesus.
Checks out.
Wouldn't he be
father
God
who's
since he has a
disapproving,
son?
But he wants to treat his children even better than his father did.
Yeah, and he's a hippie,
Oh,
and he's a
damn.
goofball that nobody quite understands. He's
He loves
a little too
classic rock.
loosey-goosey. So here are some of the things that Roger Ebert cited in this article about. It's titled Elizabethtown Revisited. So he notes that these are some of the reasons why you would think Claire might be an angel. Her trip to Hawaii, he believes, represents going back to heaven the next day, which she reluctantly decides not to, right? She goes from going to Hawaii to literally just not going back to Hawaii. She's not going to do that. She doesn't want to go to Hawaii.
What do you mean back to? It was just an airline trip.
Yeah, but she didn't go back.
She didn't go
Because
to
it was
Hawaii.
heaven, and she wasn't ready to go back to heaven. She didn't want to quit on
Sure.
Orlando Bloom. You gotta buy into this for a second, and then
I'll let you
we can
finish.
poke all the
Explain
holes.
the fact that she
I'm
has
gonna
a
let you
cat.
finish.
She has a cat, which doesn't make sense for an airline person. Anybody
Right.
that works for an airline, they shouldn't have
You're
a cat
gone all
because
the
you don't
time.
have a consistent feeding schedule. You might be gone for days at a time. That would be confusing for the cat. They wouldn't have any stability.
Unless the cat
Okay.
was also an angel.
Good point. Good point.
Sure.
Not in the article, but I think it's 1000% true.
Okay. Okay.
In
in.
the personnel interview, Claire says that if she fails Ben, we'll leave. Ebert believes alludes to the fact that she's not doing her job in the skies well, and that Drew is her last chance. Drew is Orlando Bloom's character's name.
Wait. Okay. Quick question.
Uh-huh.
Is Kirsten Dunst Nick Cage in that one movie, City of Angels?
Yes.
Okay.
City of Angels. But she doesn't, nobody dies in a bicycling accident, although someone wants to.
Spoiler.
All you had to do was watch the music video from the Goo
They
Goo
don't want the
Dolls
world to
song.
see them.
Yeah.
Oh, the Goo Goo Dolls?
Yeah, if you watch that music video,
got
you
it.
know
I think that they
everything
would
you need to know about
understand.
City of Angels.
No, I have. Yeah.
Claire at one point is quoted saying, "I'm hard to forget, but impossible to remember."
Yeah.
That's one of the lines I wrote down to talk about how she's actually a full person.
That's
Yeah.
but that makes her an angel
Being a
because
substitute person,
you
I think
nope,
that's
you
a
wouldn't be
good
able to know. You can't remember an angel, but you would remember that.
Also,
you
a
would
lot
never
of
forget
men
what
are.
they did to your
But
life.
then would he also be an angel? Because
But that's how a lot of men treat women.
Oh, damn.
Claire sounds a lot like Clear, showing him the path.
That's a stretch.
that's
That
Angel
one's a stretch.
how?
Nothing else. Just that one.
Elizabeth Town can be broken down into Elijah Beth, which is the daughter of the prophet of the Messiah, and also means forgiveness. Beth means forgiveness.
Hey, I have a quick cue.
Uh-huh.
Is the director like big time religious guy?
Great
No.
question.
Yeah,
Oh.
no. Cameron Crowe's not really.
Okay.
Good for him.
I mean, Cameron Crowe's religion was most closely like rock and roll because he was like a Rolling
Oh.
Stone reporter
Same.
for a while and just like whatever. Like that was his whole vibe.
Oh, fun.
Okay.
He talks about how the main problem at the beginning of the movie is defective shoes. Shoes have soles. A soul is something that needs redeeming
Okay.
by an
Oh my
angel.
god, I love this so much. I love it so much.
All right, keep going.
Is this real? This doesn't
Yeah, I
feel
mean, this is
real.
literally
Nate, did
on
you just write this
RogerEbert.com.
right before this? I know you're saying it's Roger Ebert, but I don't believe you, and I feel like you did this.
I mean, wouldn't this be a great trick if this
Oh
was
my
what I did?
god! Oh my god!
Phil, the name of the boss, played by Alec Baldwin. Phil sounds like fall. Who fell?
Damn it.
Satan. Satan's doing all he can to get Drew to commit suicide.
Oh my god!
Okay.
Yeah.
Phil also
Yeah.
says something about original thought, which can be parallel to
Oh,
original sin.
sin.
Yes.
Okay.
See, now
Oh
you're
my
on
God.
board. Now you're getting it.
I've always been on
wouldn't
board.
go that
but
far.
I'm very confused.
I think that Roger Ebert was trolling
I
God.
love it. 10 out of 10.
Drew chooses a wild office party, which represents pride and earthly delights, over Christmas with his family, literally
Mm.
turning away from God.
Which led me to believe
Okay.
when I was younger that corporations rocked a lot harder than corporations do.
Yeah.
However-
yeah.
British consulting companies rock pretty similarly.
I mean, Pandora rocked pretty hard.
Oh, my other corporations did not rock very hard.
No, I've only worked for the one that rocked.
Jesse. Jesse is the name of the hippie
Mhm.
brother. Jesse sounds a lot like
Jesus.
Jesus. He's unconventional. He
Sure.
fixes computers, which Ebert here says.
But the other guy is already Jesus. We've already assigned Jesus.
No, this is the same guy.
Yeah, he's
Oh.
the same guy.
Yeah, same guy.
Okay.
But because he
Bad with
fixes
names.
computers, those are modern man's problems, right? Jesus fixed ancient man's problems. Jesse
Yeah, he
fixes
was.
modern man's
Okay.
problems.
That sounds
Why did he
terrible.
stop performing in a rock band to do computers?
Because
Because my professor in college, Professor Danny Grace, who worked in the theater, said something that I have lived by for the rest of my life, which is computers are the devil. So, how does that
so
play
has he
in?
tried to keep the devil at bay
Yeah.
as the
Oh, by working for
IT
computers?
person? Not working
Mm.
for them, working to dismantle them.
I don't think that's what
You
he
take
was
it apart?
doing.
I don't know. He's an IT guy.
I think he was mantling.
doing.
I think he was.
Cooperating
Here,
with.
let,
Oh,
me let me
no.
mantle that
Maybe
for
it's
you.
a better word.
Yeah.
They work together.
What if all computers are filled with evil? Right?
They are.
It's Satan.
What do you mean? What
And
if?
then so that's what you both do is your work is just like creating new cages for the evil. Like how do we funnel the evil to keep it from doing like it can't enact its will upon the earth.
Capitalism does not allow us to build that cage. You're
That's
funny.
fair.
I've
You're
got bad
right.
news.
You're right.
We
Okay.
can't do
Got
that. We're
bad
not allowed
news.
to.
It's not even the last 10 minutes of the episode yet, but you're right.
I had to just quit. I had to just quit because I
Sorry, my
wanted to
bad.
kill myself over my job.
Very relatable, this movie.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I really like this movie.
It's a good movie. You just gotta ignore Orlando Bloom. Put somebody else there in your mind.
Yeah.
Ooh, who would have done good?
Almost
That's like a
literally
current
anybody
actor.
else.
That's true.
Yeah.
A current actor. Anyone current that has emotional range.
Hmm.
Timothy Chalamet. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he doesn't have emotional range.
I agree.
Imagine if Jesse Plemons was in it.
Oh,
And this was the moment that they met each other. Wouldn't that be
Aw.
sweet if that's what this was?
Oh, let's
we
remake
don't want
it.
this.
That's what it should be.
Just have them both back in it. They can still be the age that they're
Yeah.
at. I feel like it's
Yeah.
still
That's
applicable.
fine.
Yeah, we still can do nice things for each other even if we're aging.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ebert goes on and on. Ebert goes on and on with this thing. I think it's very funny. I see it as a very good excuse for trying to make the thing make more sense than it does.
I love everything about
Yeah.
this. The fact that he was trying so hard to do this. He's the first Q. Oh my God, Robert Ebert is Q. Roger Ebert. Why did I call him?
I don't know.
Because you want to protect his
that
name
feels
if
very
you're going to
like
post this on 8chan later.
keep it privacy. That
He didn't
feels
actually-
very
he
like a
passed,
college
right?
essay.
Yeah.
He didn't
2
actually
years
pass.
ago.
He descended to Q.
There. Yeah. Okay. He's up there.
Shit, we've got conspiracy theories.
And the
on
next
top of
Ari.
conspiracy
It's
theories.
another conspiracy theory up of Debut Buddies.
If I don't make it to the next episode, we all know I was right. Shh.
Yep.
I am going to probably rewatch this movie out of curiosity, mostly because
we
I
loved
think
it so much.
And here's the thing.
I'm so sorry. Watch Almost Famous. You like that movie? Watch that one.
I don't know if I would like that movie at this point. I think that there's something about that era of movies where it's like if you hit it at the right age, it seemed
True.
It seemed like this magical statement about life. And you get past that statement to a certain extent, and you go back and look at it and you're like, right? But there's also a good general rule, which is any movie that you watch a bunch of, you inherently grow to love, right?
That's true.
It merges with you, right? I watched A Phantom Menace, 150 times? And now
Yeah,
I
something
think
like
it might be
that.
the best movie that ever existed.
Whoa.
Can you imagine
Whoa.
if we just swapped Hayden Christensen for Orlando Bloom in these two movies?
I think we'd get the same movie.
I think so too. But that proves the resilience of both movies, that they can withstand either of these action figure men.
Yeah.
Okay. So Elizabethtown, obviously we're a little bit split on it, but
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Sorry.
I would
Aw.
That's what I would
JGL.
put in it, and he's
JGL's
known
out
for
there
being
doing
in
stuff.
movies where he is. Love him. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
No,
I was sorry
you
for
shouldn't
interrupting,
be.
but I'm not
Apologize.
sorry. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt would have been it. He does emotional range very well.
Yeah, he shouldn't
Yeah.
have done that Don John movie, and he would probably still be acting
Correct.
consistently now. But that's what he decided
Oh,
to
shit.
do.
What is he doing now? He was in a movie
Is he
with
still
Kevin
doing
Bacon.
his production company?
Yeah, he's
Yeah, because he was doing those little creative projects and the online video stuff.
Hit record.
Red.
Yeah,
something?
hit record. That's right.
But he was in the Batman.
Yeah, he was in the third Batman, and it was sort of heavily implied that he was going to become the new Batman
That's
or Robin, and then it didn't happen
right. Yeah.
because they decided to go a different direction with Batman.
He's coming out in a lot of this.
But yeah, I mean, he was good in Looper. He's good in a lot of things. Good in a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's important to point out though is ultimately for the Manic Pixie Dream Girl thing. I think we're all in agreement that it's an unfair label to put on Claire, on Kirsten Dunst in the movie, because she is actually doing quite a bit. And the flaw in the character is not that she has no internality. It's kind of clear that she has stuff that she's not willing to share. The flaw is that the movie doesn't seem interested in asking her anything about itself, right? Because it's allowing Orlando Bloom to be so self-absorbed that he never really asks her what's going on with her. And I mean, the scene where after they have hooked up and she is leaving and she is getting louder and louder to try to wake him up. I'm like, how the fuck does this asshole not wake up? Like one time.
I don't know.
And then it's pretty clear that he was pretending to be asleep to avoid her, and then changed his mind when she was conveniently outside but not too far away,
And then
just to reject her in the
Never.
parking lot. Yeah, it was really annoying.
Oh, I didn't read it that way at all.
But when he came
Damn.
down, he was like, I have a date with Destiny. Like, she was like, just tell me you love me. Or like, she basically was like professing her love, but trying to be like,
oh, I didn't read it that
please
way
give
at
me the
all. I thought she
reception
was
that I
like,
need because I already told you I liked you. Because he has not given her
Whoa.
anything verbally.
Yeah.
So he has not
Yeah.
reciprocated any feelings verbally. He has just made it all about him. So I do see that as a negative of the character. I don't think
Hold
her
on.
character was written bad. I think his character was written bad.
Yeah, no, I think that is the
that
problem.
the sad man is the bad part, not the Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Correct. I agree completely.
well, yeah, 100% agree. Can I give you how I interpreted
Yes, of
both
course.
of those scenes, and you can tell me where I got
You
it
could
wrong?
still be
no,
right.
this is
So,
Yeah.
so I didn't think that he was pretending to be asleep. I thought he was, I don't know, maybe hungover
Yeah,
or
that's
just
fair.
stupid. I don't know. Have you had a sleeping boy in your bed and you're like, wake up, and they won't? Like that felt very
Nate,
familiar.
have you had a sleeping partner?
I almost certainly have been like the sleeping too hard person, but it's especially annoying in this scene because
It is annoying.
it's
It is
kind of
annoying.
like they don't hit it hard. Like we aren't shown that they hit it that hard the night before that I could believe like, oh, he's just that hungover that he can't wake up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be more of an emotional hangover. Like he had this
Oh.
breakthrough talking to her about his dad and has the urn with him. And, you know, I think that it was supposed to be more along those, or that's how I read it. And then when she was like, just tell me you're in love with me already, I didn't read that as like, I need you to say you love me. I thought she was being like, stop following me, like a dumb tease
I feel like based on her
with
facial,
that as the subtext.
I feel like based on her facial reaction to his response to her not being about her was what
Yeah.
drove that home. Because she says that, and then his response is all about him. And she
I
just
do think that it turns
immediately
after
was
that.
like,
Absolutely.
God fucking damn it.
I think, yes, I do think that that was a very disappointing moment. I just don't think that it was like love yet. I think
yeah.
that she was trying to do a playful thing, and then he was like, I have to go kill myself. And at that point,
It's
she
like,
was like,
come
ugh,
Get over it.
grow up.
So I agree that she's not trying to make him actually profess his love, but I feel like it was like her being like, I would love for you to run after me because you actually want
Yeah.
me,
Mhm.
because I feel like you
Yeah.
don't actually want me. And then
No.
he just proved that he didn't want her. And then she ends it with, I don't know why you keep trying to break up with me because we're not together.
Right. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I was like,
I agree.
which I think is a good line.
It is a good line.
She has a lot of good
Yeah,
lines.
She speaks a lot of truth. I think the way that scene kind of plays out, at least the way I read it, was like she is really earnestly trying to get him to wake up so they can have a sweet moment together after
Yeah.
they've had this
Yes.
night, right? And then she
Yeah.
leaves because she kind of just like, after dropping her bag full of pennies, I guess, like I don't know what the fuck is in that
Yeah, I don't
purse, but
know.
it
I
keeps
don't know.
rattling
I don't
like
know,
it's full of
whatever.
change. She finally just like shrugs and sighs kind of dramatically, and then she leaves. And then he comes chasing after her. And at that point, yeah, Kelly, I agree that she's kind of turning around being like, just tell me you're in love with me already, as a way to
Right,
try
yeah.
to diffuse what she's perceiving to be maybe a weird conflict,
Mm.
or maybe protect
Well,
herself
and
from the
also
fact that
sort
like,
of a, like-
she wanted him to say something. He didn't, so she's already felt rejected. So now she's kind of
Yes.
rejecting in contrast. But then
Yeah.
he just is behaving as if he has no idea that they are even two people who have been interacting with each other. He's acting like a self-absorbed piece of trash, which he is. That character is a self-absorbed
Yes.
piece of trash.
Yeah, that whole scene is just him. Like, if you don't want to pursue anything with her, then you didn't have to chase her downstairs. What he wanted in that moment was somebody to witness his misery.
Right.
And that is so lame.
Well, because he wanted his misery witnessed, and he kind of wanted he wanted to get an attaboy for running out there and doing the right thing. Like it feels
I
like the
guess so,
gross.
yeah.
It feels like a very bad, gross dude thing of, well, go do it
Mhm.
because they expect you to, and then they'll tell you were good for doing it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And when she doesn't immediately like praise him for showing up, he goes full incel and he's like, well, I have to kill myself because whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's really gross.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst's character, I don't think is a manic pixie dream girl. I think that's an unfair thing to tag on to it. I think we kind of all agree that most of these are incorrect. Do we want to talk about Bringing Up Baby? Did you all watch that as
I didn't
well?
watch
I did
it.
watch it.
It's not a super complicated movie. It's great.
Mm-mm.
I really like it. Katharine Hepburn, again, I think like I understand why the tag is placed on her there a little bit, but
Mhm.
she is way more interesting and complicated and fully independent. And like, if anything, it's like she is really the like catalyzing force behind the movie, because otherwise we would just be
Yes.
watching Cary Grant stand in a museum dusting off bones for an hour and 40 minutes.
Which was really charming.
Yeah, oh,
and
yeah,
I
he is-
did like that
He
part.
is an adorable paleontologist. He's doing
So, like,
Raiders of
fumbling.
the Lost Ark, Harrison Ford. This guy's glasses. You could totally see all the girls like batting their eyes at him.
Except no, he's like so.
Well, he's a fuddy-duddy, and he doesn't even know that
Inept.
he's but yeah, he's a goofy doofus that only does work and doesn't really see
Yeah.
anything about the world. And he meets this very charming woman who has got all of her shit together. And the only thing that
Mhm.
she really doesn't have together is that she has an exotic animal pet that her brother sent her. And
Which isn't her fault.
but yeah, she didn't ask for it; it just happened. And so now they are on an adventure trying to find
Yeah.
a leopard or a cheetah. I can't remember what kind of cat it is.
A
It's a
leopard.
big,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's a cute movie where they just slowly fall in love as a bunch of goofy shit happens. But it's like a zany madcap
Yeah, it's
So
comedy.
this should be a romantic comedy.
slapstick.
Yeah. Are we just like inflating romantic comedies for fun girls?
Yeah, I think that this is like I think that that is sort of the defining distinction, which is that the Manic Pixie Dream Girl is the not like other girls.
Oh, okay.
So like, yeah, it's just a romantic comedy, but with this like, ooh, you're so unique and crazy. Like that's
Right.
Gotcha.
that's how it categorizes, I think.
This is the underlying big problem with it is that
Mm-hmm.
if all women in movies who are wacky or energetic or different or artsy or whatever are manic pixie dream girls, and the implication is that the rest of womankind is
Yep.
some sort of baseline dull, doesn't do anything, has no aspirations, doesn't outwardly care, doesn't have adventures. It puts handcuffs on women as a population to say that, oh well, the inverse of this caricature is reality, and reality is barefoot in the kitchen. I think. I mean, that's ultimately what the
Yeah.
implication seems to be, and that's what's really fucked up.
Well, and bringing up Baby has a really stark juxtaposition between the two because Cary Grant is engaged to a woman at the start of the movie who's very severe
Mhm.
and not fun at all. She's like, they're getting married tomorrow. And she's like, no, we're not taking a honeymoon.
No.
Your work is your most important thing. We have to come back straight away. We mustn't have any like dalliances outside of work.
She's-
And Cary Grant is like, oh, do you mean even kids? And she's like, of course, no kids. We have to do
Wow.
work. And then, you know, Audrey Hepburn comes around and she's like,
I want kids and jaguars.
fun and bubbly. Not fun. He's actually having a horrible time.
Yeah.
But like bubbly and eccentric. And so we see the two, like, these are the two ways that a woman can be.
Right. Yeah. And what's kind of ironic is that like Katharine Hepburn is playing in Bringing Up Baby a character that is the opposite of what she plays later, because she does in a lot of films play the more patrician, like matriarch character that Cary Grant's
Okay.
wife character sort of is. Katharine Hepburn never
see.
plays it that flat. I mean, it's obviously like all designed to be caricatures, but yeah, the dichotomy implied by the term about women in general, I completely understand. Like, especially when you read some of the criticisms from Zoe Kazan and all these other people, like, yeah, this is a huge problem to be like, oh,
Yeah.
this is there are two types of women. They're either manic pixie dream girls or they're all the other kinds of women, right? Or whatever, right? And I'm sure there's a broader sort of list of stereotypes that, you know, because whatever, Madonna and horror and all these other things, right? But like the idea that we're boiling down these characters to something, when Bring It Baby is like a fun, wacky movie, and you wouldn't really, like, the only reason you would pin that title on her is because it's become popular to use that title.
Yeah.
Because the movie came out in like in the 40s, 50s, something like that.
I don't know.
It's an
I didn't
old
actually
film.
look.
Been around for a while.
It's not in color.
You could just
No one
drive any car at this, right? Like she keeps getting into cars that aren't hers.
This is true.
So you can just start a car.
Cars did not have locks or keys.
We weren't locking them. Yeah.
People didn't have
You just drive a car.
licenses. You just found one and made off with it.
And went.
1938.
38. There you go.
Dang.
Boom.
It's a lot earlier than I thought.
That was early.
And I'm sure there was probably plenty of negative press about Katharine Hepburn's character because we do live in
I'm
a
sure.
misogynist patriarchal society where that is internalized by everyone. So I'm sure people shat on her for being too something, right? Like this is an ugly face of feminism that's got whatever. Like I'm sure all the shit writes itself
absolutely.
because it's the same garbage that gets said.
Especially because she was the pursuer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, ooh, oh no, harlot.
It is inarguable that she wears the pants in that movie. like
Oh yeah.
throughout.
Yeah. She literally wore some trousers,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Uh-oh!"
She trousers her butt off in that movie.
Okay, so not in reference to bringing up baby. This might be a completely different topic. So if you guys have more to say about bringing up baby, I'm going to pause.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Okay. So the context of this is like, oh, men can't write women. I then tried to think of men that were written by women, and I was like, oh shit, we're not doing a great job either. So I don't want
Hit
to
me with your examples.
fucking Edward from Twilight. Sorry, we get
Oh, I don't know
you
that
always
one.
want the brooding, semi-abusive hero that's also sensitive.
Mhm.
Like that's what women who like end up selling a lot. Right.
Yeah, he's mean because he's deep.
Yeah, he's mean. Yeah, exactly.
that is it,
But
right?
that's like
That's the
Twilight, and then the Twilight fan fiction that came out after, things like that.
50 Shades of Grey. Yeah.
You gotta have like dark brooding, but also sensitive, and like it is. I feel like that's also not fair to men in the same way.
That's true.
And I feel like women, a lot of the times, like they write romance novels about men, but it's the idealized version. So like, I don't want to like get upset with men for writing an idealized version of women if women are allowed to write idealized versions of men. And I'm not saying we can learn from each of them, but like maybe we could learn from each of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
It does make sense.
I think ultimately it means like, hey, we can do better. We can write more thoughtful, complex characters that are individual, I guess.
True.
I mean, I think that's, and I haven't read any of the
started-
Twilight books, but I assume that by like
me
the seventh one, there is some more depth to the characters. Maybe
I don't know.
you have.
I didn't read the other three, but
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't
read
know.
4 of them.
I would figure if anything would do it, it would be like, well, hey, this guy's like 900 years old because he's a vampire. So a lot of stuff has happened to him, right? Like something that Joss Whedon, for all of his flaws, did well with Angel was that like that character went from being like, oh, he's just brooding and dark and smoldering, and that's why she's interested in him, to like, oh, he actually like has a lot of stuff that's happened to him that created who he is, and he has a complicated sort of self-hate relationship with everything that he is and has done, which is interesting. At least there's something there. But yeah, maybe Stephanie Meyer didn't go to that trouble because she didn't have to. They started just writing
Joss
checks
Whedon
right away.
wrote a man correctly, is what you're telling me.
But
Stephanie Meyer
That's a
did
good
not
point.
write a man correctly.
That's
so
fair.
I think that there is like, that's where it's like women will write idealized versions of men and everything. In a lot of romantic comedies, it will be an idealized version of a man and not a man that's always accessible. And then the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, there might also be women who have that, like that are like that.
Here's why this isn't totally landing with me as being equivalent things.
Okay.
Because society dismisses rom-coms as like flighty. Like we don't need to engage with those as art. Those are like wishy-washy nothing movies.
Unless it's When Harry Met Sally, which everyone seems to agree is a paragon of filmmaking.
And then these movies with the Manic, quote unquote, Manic Pixie Dream Girl movies are like high art. Oh, such sophisticated writing. What beautiful storytelling. How relatable.
But I never saw, I always saw those as teen movies. Like I never saw them as anything that was high art.
Oh, interesting.
Unless you're like,
I've only seen them as like really engaged with these as thought provoking.
I think what's weird is that with like Garden State and Elizabethtown and 500 Days of Summer, like those movies came out at a time when we were all in a sort of cusp zone of adulthood, so that they do land as artful.
Well, but I didn't watch them at the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch these until this week. And so I see why, especially Garden State was considered like an outer, I don't know how to say that word. Auteur movie. And I guess to some extent Elizabethtown.
Yeah.
But like I do see that there is well, maybe this is the patriarchy in my brain.
But like,
I do see that they're
just all of a piece, I think, right? They're all just in there was this band of time when this was the kind of story that everybody in Hollywood thought
Well,
we wanted
yes.
to
We did
hear,
a lot of
which was
independent movies.
disaffected men.
Yeah, independent
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. It was this like, it was this looking in. It's all, and it's all like, it's all
Mhm.
post 9/11 stuff. It's all what is life
Yeah.
now? Because through the 90s, we could be like, hey, America rules and we beat the Soviet Union and the stock
In
market's
Office
flying. We've got
Space.
the internet. And then 2000, then yeah, you have the
Mhm.
.com crash, you have September 11th happens, you have the Iraq war.
Everyone's depressed and a girl needs to bring them out of it.
And these movies reflect that in a way that the traditional rom-com doesn't. And so we engage with them differently.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but in the same way that like Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles reflected a type of suburban depression that teenagers were
Well,
experiencing,
if
right?
we want
That's
to
true.
go with that, like the romantic movies around that time that weren't technically rom-coms, like a one that's on the list is Sweet November, and that one has a quote unquote manic. Oh, no one else watched that. It's got Keanu, you guys.
No,
What
I
the
didn't watch it.
fuck?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know, sorry.
All
And
right.
I want
It's
to
one of
be
my
clear
favorite
that I'm not
movies, so-
I'm not making these points as Kelly Adway. I'm saying that society in America writes off the traditional rom-com as flighty and not worth engaging with, as like, oh, that's a fun afternoon for women.
Today or
Oh,
Whereas-
sure.
then?
I would agree. I think most of
Both.
the time rom-coms are treated similarly to
Okay,
horror
Yeah,
gotcha.
they're genre
and
films.
sci-fi and a lot of other genres. This is a low concept. This is a
Yeah.
trifle.
In
This is not
comparison
something
to
that
drama.
we talk about.
We're just comparing it to drama for the most part,
Yeah.
right? Because even action movies, I think, would still fall over
Oh,
into
sure.
that category of. So drama is the only one we're focusing on right now. So the only reason that Garden State wouldn't be considered a comedy is because it wasn't funny, in my opinion. It might have been trying to be a little bit, but it wasn't.
I thought it was funny. I just remember.
Well, did you think it was funny because the jokes in it were funny, or did you think it was funny because, oh my god,
Because what?
like the way that all the characters acted was a little over the top, but it wouldn't seem over the top at the time. When I was younger, I was like, oh, I feel all of these things. And now that
was
I'm older, I'm
feeling
like,
some
I
of the
have processed
things.
some of them. Okay. I was like, I've learned to
Mhm.
process those
Yeah,
feelings,
yeah.
and I feel better about those than I did at the time when I was like, I feel all these.
Well, but that's what I meant. That I'm glad that I didn't watch them when I was in high school
I felt
because
all
I
of
would
them
have
when I watched
become
them.
obsessed.
It did become my personality. It was gross. I'm not proud.
Yeah. I mean, and that's because we've grown.
Mhm.
I think you're right, Kelly, in that these movies were presented as if they were some sort of new genre that defied the conventions that we
Or at
were
least
used to, right?
substantive
They
in
were-
a
they-
way that people didn't treat.
Right. That it's like, oh, finally, this movie is holding up a mirror to the
Oh,
angst
gotcha.
that we feel in this
Yes.
era, which I mean, ultimately, I think that's just laziness because
Yeah.
like all movies at all times are holding a mirror up to the angst of the era, whether it's a rom-com or whatever, right? Like a lot of the slapstick 60s comedies, like Mel Brooks
Oh,
movies are
yeah.
very like aware
Yeah.
of time and space and are commenting on them, right? Like Blazing Saddles being a major example of that, where I don't know if either of you watched Blazing
Oh, not
Saddles
recently.
recently.
Not recently.
But like when you watch it now, and this is a smart thing that they've done. There's like a almost 10-minute long preamble where they talk about, hey, this movie uses the N-word a lot, and it deals with race in this way that feels insensitive, absolutely, to an audience in the 2020s. Here's what it
yeah.
was doing, right? This is addressing a thing that was just going on. And so it's really making fun of those people. And to do that in a way now that feels insensitive, but at the time was like, haha, fuck
Yeah.
you
Nice.
assholes.
I mean, it's like Huck Finn, right?
And I think that's maybe the problem with these movies is that they don't what they ultimately boil down to is hit or miss level rom-coms that are well produced.
Right.
And they aren't actually addressing something because they don't really get to the core of the problem with the male characters,
Yes.
right? Like no one ever shakes any of them and says like, hey, Everything's just not going to be
Yeah.
you have to grow up.
Yeah.
Life is hard, you dumb fuck. Like, stop being a little piss baby
Little piss baby.
and waiting for
So-
someone
Well,
to
see,
save you.
Natalie Portman did
You know?
almost address that in
Yeah.
Garden State.
She
Like,
did.
there is a scene.
Yeah,
she
she
gets,
gets very
very close, and I was like, "Oh, are we gonna do it?" but no, just for the
But
duration.
the movies
of
are
that
so
scene.
afraid to do that, it seems like.
Right.
Right?
But that's
You
my
don't wanna
that is my
alienate
Because even
people, I
Kirsten
guess.
Dunst doesn't get that opportunity. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, right? Like, they're trying to keep these female characters likable,
Yes.
and they believe somehow that if a woman speaks truth to a man, she immediately becomes
Yeah.
a shrew and can no longer be of romantic import or
Yep.
charming, which is
Yeah.
such a problem with our society.
Yep.
Hashtag women in politics also.
It's
I
the
mean, it's
same
women
problem.
anywhere.
It's like, oh, I can't be charmed by this person who has a plan and is telling me things
Yeah.
that are wrong. Yeah, it's a mess.
It's everywhere. It's pervasive.
But yeah, Manic Pixie Dream Girl. What a dumb thing. What a dumb thing. But good maybe because now we're thinking about these things.
So are we saying that a dumb thing is the existence of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, or the dumb thing is the labeling of that to a character?
The labeling.
Mm.
The labeling, yeah. The label is
Yeah.
dumb inherently. The fact that 20 years later almost it's provoking us to have a deep conversation about what that label implies
Yeah.
and means is great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Man. Yeah, I don't know. Watching these movies now for the first time was very interesting. And I'm so glad, Chelsea, that right off the bat you were like, I think that it was Legolas who did a bad job in the movie and that it
Fucking
wasn't
terrible.
the character. Because
I don't
I was
think it's
like,
her
that's
fault.
how I felt
I don't think
about
it's her
all
fault.
of these
I think
movies.
it's his fault. And I think he just did so garbage. If it had somebody who was charming, that would have been the best movie. Somebody who could play that character.
Yes.
These are also
Yes.
just awful characters.
But they're
like,
supposed to be awful,
This is not
right?
to say that, like, yeah, Orlando Bloom,
Bad
bad
actor.
actor.
But he couldn't
Zach
be
Braff,
charming.
questionably good actor. Like, Zach Braff is good
Yeah.
as a goofball
Yeah.
in Scrubs, but he's playing a cartoon and he's
Right.
good at doing that. Both of those characters are really, like, the reason that Bringing Up Baby works is because Cary Grant is being a charming
Yeah.
fuddy-duddy the whole movie. Like, he's a drag, but he's like
Yeah.
a funny drag. Like, he's not just dead weight, he's literally like a colorful parachute on the back of Katharine Hepburn's race car, right? Like, she's trying to go, and he's like, oh, I'm kind of stupid, and I'm slowing you down. These other two guys, like Bloom and Braff, are just kind of like, hey, so my whole thing is that I'm just depressed, and I don't want to talk
Yeah.
to anybody. I'm gonna be that kind of brooding that makes me intolerably obnoxious.
Oh, you know what
Because there's nothing wrong with being depressed. And there's nothing wrong with not
Yeah.
wanting to
Yeah.
talk to people. But it is weird to do this self-indulgent, self-important, like, fantasization of your depression where it's like, oh, so this is art because, like, the Zach Braff
Yeah.
scene where he's wearing the same shirt pattern as the wallpaper and it's like, I'm disappearing
Yeah.
into everything. And it's like, okay, like, I get why 21-year-old, 22-year-old me
Yeah.
thought that was like cool because it did reflect,
Cool
oh man,
thing.
I just got broken up with. I feel invisible too. But it's also like, this is a self-indulgent way of looking at this because it really centers you as the only person feeling this way. And literally everybody feels this way all the time.
I wonder
Yeah.
what would have happened had they written it less so from a perspective of having to create another character to bring them out of it. And to, like, they wanted to create, I feel like the writers themselves were experiencing something because I don't think that some parts of the depression are portrayed somewhat accurately, not all of them, but like
Mhm.
to a point where they're like, I need somebody to drag me out of it. I can't do it alone. But it could also be a commentary, wish it wasn't just a female, but to the fact that community also helps with that. And being isolated
yeah.
isn't always the best move. And if there is like, and I'm trying to think of movies that can, when somebody has gone through something, but it's about the community bringing them out of it and not just one manic pixie dream girl as opposed to a manic pixie community.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I would want. Like, you need
Sure.
people that give you
Midsummer.
different insights.
It's Midsummer.
yeah. Look, we got a bear costume for you. You're gonna feel great later. No, and Chelsea, you're hitting on this is making me think of another really important problem that we haven't quite brought up, I don't think. Maybe we did, so I apologize if either of you already said it. There's something really bad about the fact that the implication here is the only thing that can cure a a depressed man is the prospect of sex with someone they're attracted to.
Oh.
Like the Manic Pixie Dream Girl isn't just that she's kind and charming and takes him on an adventure, but she also is
Hot.
conventionally
Yeah.
attractive. Yeah.
That's true.
She's conventionally hot and she's available
Yeah.
to the man. And she is leading him toward that availability at every turn, right? Like she is making sure that he knows 100%. Like Kirsten Dunst sits down next to him and talks to him that entire flight. And it is clear that like she's into you, dude. Like how much more underlined and highlighted does this have to be? She's interested in you. Like she's batting her eyelashes. She's doing all these things, right? Natalie Portman kind of does the same thing. She's a little quieter about it, as I recall. But the implication is there, right? That this is like, yeah, this not only does this woman want to help you, but like she wants to like get down with you, and that just feeds into that incel culture problem of like, oh yeah, well there's going to be a woman who saves me from the fact that I feel like a pathetic piece of shit, and she's gonna fuck me. And that's how I'm going to know that my life is okay. Yeah. And then when that doesn't happen, I guess you turn into a little dick monster. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I do think that that's a big part of the problem. Like, it's not even the way the characters themselves are written necessarily, but like the way that they are deployed, the way that they're used.
Yeah.
Used is the right word, right? Like,
yeah.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
I think we're in a consensus with the word used and how that's the crux of this issue.
That is,
not the characters themselves, but how they're used. Beautiful.
So really, this is a problem with that. I mean, 100%. As most of the problems that exist are. I say
Here,
completely.
Nate's just trying to get a number.
No, it's fully true. It's fully true. It's time for the Mouth Garf Report.
The Mouth Garf Report. Open wide for some lasagna.
I hate Mondays.
Yay!
Yay!
So, I already texted you both about this, but it is the most important development in recent Mouth Garf Report history, which is that I found my Garf.
You did find your Garf!
I found my Garf.
Oh, it's so cute.
There is a fun vintage store here called the Zeppelin and the Unicorn.
Oh, fun.
And they just have a bunch of different like rooms full of people's consigned weirdness. So they got a really cool room that has records and stuff, and I occasionally will buy something used there. But then they also just have these weird collections of toys and art prints and things like that. So while I was there, I found a very cool Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic page that is framed where all four turtles, it's early enough in the run that they're all wearing the same red bandanas.
Whoa.
And they're all just around Splinter, like hugging him. They're all just reunited and feeling so good about it. So that was very cute. And then in one of the other rooms, there was a little Garf.
Oh, look at him.
He's so sleepy.
Aww.
He doesn't care.
Perfect.
Just a little guy.
He is perfect.
Looks stoned out
Super
of his mind.
stoned. Incredibly stoned.
He smoked that za. This little Garf. Yeah.
Love it.
Good for him.
It was perfect because it was like, oh, he's even the right size. He's like 7 inches tall. He's a perfect little stuffed Garf. The moment I brought him home, my dog Rocket saw him and was like, oh, is that for me? And I was like, no, sir.
Sense.
This one is not for you. You will back away from my Garf.
Not this time.
So I got a Garf.
Who can blame him though? I'm so happy for
Pretty
you.
great. It's pretty great.
Well
I
deserved.
also texted you both the Animorphs Bart Simpson turns into Garfield t-shirt that they had there.
10 out of 10.
Which if I go back and they have my size, I will buy one. They just only had like XLs, and that I don't really need like a sleeping shirt that has Bart turning into Garf.
You don't.
You want to wear that
don't
out.
want a
You want to show
nightgown?
people, you know? That's like a
wear
go to
it
the
out.
ballet shirt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just don't. Wearing XLs right now is in, right? Billie Eilish does it.
Oh,
I
sure.
almost called her Billie.
Yeah. Beely.
That's right.
Billie Eilish.
Beely eyelash.
Yeah, Billie Eilish.
Nate, you just didn't learn how to wear boxy, oversized t-shirts in your childhood. We just got to slap a belt on
It's
that.
true. If I just had like a thin
Oh,
belt somewhere, kind of a high waist thing.
It could be a
Yeah,
thick belt.
exactly.
That's
It
okay
could be a
too.
thick belt.
It could be a thick
But a
belt.
very
yeah.
thick belt.
I mean, that's
Could be a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Maybe red.
Like a
that could
cummerbund?
be red.
Mm-hmm.
Cummerbund is usually seated a little bit lower. You want it up at your natural
Fair.
waist.
Okay. Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Well, look, if something develops and I go get a very large shirt and a belt, I will show
Okay.
you both
We'll help.
next time we meet
Yeah.
up. And it'll be great.
Ginny will know what we're talking about. That's actually of a time with these movies we watched. That was very mid 2000s.
Oh yeah, well
Yeah.
that and like
Yeah.
layering like a tiny vest
Get you a
over
cami.
something.
Yes.
Oh,
That was the whole thing.
mhm.
I
Oh,
remember
God, yeah.
a lot of these things are coming back. I've seen a
vests are
remarkable
bad.
number
In a bad
of
way.
like
No, it's not good. We don't need it. It's fine.
Yeah.
They can be
It's
left.
back.
lots of
It's back.
like wide-legged low-rise pants back again.
Stop with the
I'm seeing
low rise.
that.
Stop
I'm
it.
seeing that a lot.
Take that back.
It's it didn't need to happen in the first place. But
No.
hey,
We
you know
can't
what?
go back.
Everything has got a
Everything's
backlash,
upsetting,
I
is
guess.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Time, flat circle, etc.
In other news, I went to the dentist last week for
Nice.
a 6-month checkup and cleaning.
How'd it go?
It went great. My gums
Okay,
are
nice.
top-notch gums.
Wonderful.
Hell yeah.
Great tooth report. Everything was good. Though my dentist
Yes.
did try to upsell me on some Invisalign.
You gotta be careful. Chelsea and I
will
both
shave
got
your
got.
teeth.
Yeah.
They will shave them. You will
They'll
have
shave
shaved
them. They'll put little nubbins on and then they'll shave them.
Yep.
The argument that he made was
Is that you'll be able to floss better?
No, this was about
Oh.
wear of the top surfaces of the teeth. That
Mm.
the way that my
Oh.
teeth are striking each other is creating like a weird sort of off level thing. I'm
Yep.
not sure I buy it, honestly. What the way that I did a lot of smiling and nodding, as one does when someone is
Yeah.
proposing something you
You
don't
say, "I'll
want, but
think
you're
about
stuck
it."
in a chair.
It's like when
Uh,
a waiter is reading the specials and you're like, I'm getting the burger.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
You're like, yeah, the salmon sounds
Uh-huh.
great. The cheapest thing on the menu,
Uh-huh.
please. Thank you. But yeah, he gave me the whole sales pitch, and I was like, well, I mean, I guess we could do the scan next time, maybe if it's free. And he's like, yeah, the scan's free, and I was like, cool,
Oh.
because it's mostly just like I'm not probably gonna do it. I don't have any issues with my teeth.
Yeah.
Like whatever. If it's a thing, fine. I feel like I filled out one of the like phone-based surveys where it's like, how do you feel about your mouth? And I think that I just like checked the like, have you ever thought about Invisalign box? Stupidly, I was like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, well, I mean,
no.
of course, sure, I have.
I think about it once a week. Yeah.
And then I got very like, it's a very like Scientology-esque sort of thing of like, oh, you've thought about this? Great,
Yeah.
let's see if we can't rub you. It's fine. Good stuff otherwise. Everything's great.
I will say, I can absolutely see, even after straightening, I can absolutely see how where my teeth strike in the back, the unevenness.
Yeah.
I can see it. Like, I do believe that that's a thing, but you wear a mouth guard.
I do.
So
Mhm.
I think you're fine.
I'm doing that
Don't let
already.
that dentist.
I don't really clench or grind during the day unless it's like
A really bad day.
yeah,
Yeah.
unless it's a day where I foolishly have like 4 coffees, like way more
Oh,
coffee than I
that'll
need,
do it.
and then I just get
Yeah.
that like tight jaw thing. But generally,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen. So
You get the Coke clench.
yeah.
I have a segue into that for teeth. So I'm not wearing my Invisalign right now, and that's just because not because I don't fucking have it anymore. I still fucking have it. I don't know if you guys remember last week when I was
You were gonna get
celebrating
rid of
that
it.
I wouldn't have it anymore.
Mhm.
So
Um,
non-spawn.
Yeah. So I went and they were like, your bite is still okay. So the reason I went in, they were like, what's the problem? And I was like, my teeth flare out and it's bullshit. And that's also why they shaved my teeth. But they have fixed it. My teeth like go straight down now, which is wonderful. But they did the rescan and they showed where you bite, and it gives you like little marks where like you're supposed to be biting back here. I'm still biting a little bit on these. So they were like, well, I'd
Oh.
rather fix that than you have to deal with that any longer since that was your main problem. So in a couple weeks, I'm going back and getting my nubbins reapplied.
Ugh.
I'm getting
Reapplied.
new
They took the nubbins
nubbins.
off.
They're ripping the nubbins off and they're putting new nubbins on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm upset and I am
Yeah.
scarred already, but it's fine. I'm hoping it will be like maybe 2 weeks of retainers, But yeah, I'm very sad because I'm having to wear that retainer, but because of the fact that I'm wearing it for like 2 months, I'm kind of just like playing it a little loosey goosey.
Yeah.
But yeah, bummed about that. Second part, mouthwash with alcohol. Not good for you. Don't have mouthwash with alcohol. Apparently it's bad for you. Get mouthwash without alcohol.
Mhm.
Which I use a
Bummer.
lot of mouthwash, especially with Invisalign. My mouth is disgusting all the time because Invisalign is disgusting all the time. Nate, yeah, you
Invisalign, if
probably
you want to
shouldn't get
sponsor the
Invisalign.
podcast.
You probably shouldn't get Invisalign because I have to clean it constantly, and if it's treated like your night guard, your teeth are going to be gone in
Fair.
in
That's
3 months.
true. She's
Yeah.
right.
No,
But you have to
look,
do constant cleaning all the time, and it is.
I don't know if anybody remembers like Imperial Japan, but having black teeth was super cool and in and very
Well,
high fashion.
All right, well, let's go back in time.
So I'm just
We
saying.
can do it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Set
Um,
whatever trend you want, I guess. I support you.
So what? Okay, I've heard the no alcohol in the mouthwash thing before. Is it just because it like super dries out your mouth and messes with your salivary glands and stuff?
They said it's a carcinogen, so
Oh,
could
okay.
cause cancer. But right now, I'm just like, everything causes cancer, but that's one of them. And they say to avoid it. And then for a while there, I was like, oh, why are they making this mouthwash that I always use without alcohol? And we accidentally bought
Yeah.
the one without alcohol. And then I was like, this doesn't feel like it's working. So then I got the one with alcohol again. And then I know I shouldn't take everything with TikTok, but I did Google it afterwards and found some scholarly articles that were like, mouthwash with alcohol is a problem. So yeah, be careful with that. If you get anything from this podcast, is getting informed about mouth hygiene.
Yeah.
And the other part that I'm very excited about, that I'm most excited about, and I may have texted you guys, I probably did. I saw an indigo bunting, and it was the most beautiful moment of my life.
Yes.
Just a little baby indigo
Yes.
bunting.
Aw.
And like I saw it and I immediately was like, that's an indigo bunting. And then we pulled up our Merlin app, non-spawn. I don't know if they can. They're a college. But I pulled it up to make sure that it was an indigo bunting, and the call did show up. So I felt validated. I felt
yay.
beautiful. I also, Carolina chickadee, cute as shit. I kept hearing it this morning and went outside, played the thing. I was like, this is the cutest little tweet that I've ever heard.
Carolina.
And then I checked
chickadee.
it.
Are
So
they
cute.
little
So
round
cute.
boys? Oh my God. Yeah.
Are you thinking of a Carolina wren? Carolina wrens are little
Nope.
brown boys.
I was thinking of a chickadee because I didn't say brown. I said round.
Oh, I thought you said brown. Well, Carolina wrens are brown, and they're really common in this area, so I see them all the time.
Oh.
Yeah, house
no,
sparrows and house finches, very common
Mhm.
as well.
Oh.
Yeah, there have been a couple that I've
Nice.
heard but not seen. That's the most upsetting. I don't know if you guys understand, but the amount of times that I hear a bird and I was like, I can't see it. I can't see it. Hey, mouth.
Yeah.
We got a
The boy
cat
is
tail.
here. The boy is here.
But anytime I'm like, I can't see it, and then I get really upset. But it's fine.
That's just something to look forward to.
I know. You're right. They're in the area.
Did your indigo bunting go to the doctor and then to the mountains and then look to the children, and did it drink from the fountains?
I know it's that song, and
Yeah.
is it from the Indigo Girls?
It
Wait,
is an Indigo Girls
okay.
song,
Right?
yeah.
There we
yeah.
go. I'm there.
Why
I'm
else
there.
would I
It took
take
me
this
time.
incredibly long
I see what you
walk
did
that I
there.
should
Are we
never have
done with
started
that
with?
game now?
Yeah, it's all
Did we
over.
finish it today? Okay, good.
We had but to your point, we had this awesome song sparrow that was in our backyard yesterday,
Oh,
and it sang for like half an hour, 45 minutes, like the beautiful
Aw.
little thing. And I couldn't figure out where it was. I was looking around like crazy, like I can hear it. It's like right. And then I looked up and saw that we have a tree in our backyard that is kind of half dead, half alive. And it was
know that
up
feeling.
in one of the high
Aren't we
dead
all?
branches. Yeah,
Oh.
seriously, Kelly. It was high up in one of the dead branches, just like hanging out there, proud, singing. And I was like, oh,
Aw,
dude, keep
cute.
it up. I'm in.
Oh, what a
I
good
love that.
boy.
Yeah.
love it. Kelly, how's your mouth?
I have an update. My mouth is good. I will say, here's a little tip that I maybe have shared before. If you struggle with a version of depression that makes it hard to care for yourself, here is a tip from me to you. Get those little non-spawn wisps. The like little, you would take them maybe like camping or something, like little single-use toothbrushes. They have like a built-in little knob of toothpaste in it, and then the other side is like a toothpick, essentially. No substitute for actually brushing and flossing, but if you're too sad to do that, get some of these, keep them by your bed. Make sure to get a trash can to also keep by your bed.
Smart.
Don't live in squalor like me. And then I have an update from our good friend of the show, Savannah, who was just on talking about trapeze. So she took a little trip to DC last weekend, and she was at a museum that had some war planes.
Oh.
And
She
one
went
of
to the Air and
them-
Space Museum, right? At the Smithsonian?
Not that one. She made sure to mention that it was a different one.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Hold on. Oh, yes, it was the Air and Space Museum, but there are two locations. This was at the Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy hangar out by Dulles Airport.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Not at the museum that's on the mall.
Okay.
And there was a display of the Curtiss F9C2 Sparrowhawk. Though the Sparrowhawks were a teeny type of plane that had a little hook on the top of it, and it would sort of hook into a larger plane. I guess a flying aircraft carrier, essentially. And so it would deploy the little Sparrowhawks, and then the Sparrowhawks would come back and hook back on. And the little hook that it hooks onto was called a trapeze. And the insignia for the planes, I'll have to send it to you, is so funny. It depicts two trapeze artists, a large boy and a small boy. And the large boy is the carrier, and the small boy represents the Sparrowhawk. And the thing, I need to describe this insignia to you. So the two men are in little leotards, red bottoms, yellow tank tops. And the red bottoms, these are not pants. These are, the only way to describe them are booty shorts.
Oh,
and they have thick
the big
cheeks.
boys' cheeks are cheeky.
They are voluptuous.
Mothman level cheeky.
I love this.
Yes, he
Love
thick.
Love it.
And I love it. And these were called The Men on the Flying Trapeze,
Aw.
like the song that we talked about.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was just a funny little coincidence that she happened to go and see this exhibit right after we talked about trapeze. So my mouth guard report is from Savannah.
That's fun.
That's wild. So, okay, so the Sparrowhawk is a parasite fighter, is the type of plane it is. They call it
Oh.
a parasite fighter. And they were
Yikes.
launched from airships, so blimps,
Yeah.
big dirigibles.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I guess that makes sense because that's
the
where you would launch
trapeze.
off of. Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Bonkers.
Yeah, isn't that neat?
That's fun.
That's really cool. And they're cute. They're very
insignia
like
is so
colorful.
cute.
And that insignia is very suggestive.
Yes, it
It's
is. Like who?
Yeah.
They were like, make sure to get the butts.
Yeah.
No,
We
bigger.
Look,
Bigger.
this big boy has to hold a whole plane. He's gonna have
I know. I
needs
mean,
a low center of grav.
truly, he needs them glutes to hang on, I suppose.
You need
Yeah,
glutes to
cute.
fight the krauts, right? Is that-
I guess so.
I don't know. That's all we can say those things, can't we? I'll fix the board.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Hell yeah. That was the Mouthcarf report.
Woohoo!
It's time to play a game.
Yay.
Yes, I'm ready.
Oh,
We're gonna
I
play.
am ready.
We're gonna play I See What You Did There.
Okay.
We've got
This is
this.
the Manic Pixie Dream Girl edition.
I might do
So
well
get
with this
ready.
one.
Get ready to go.
Okay.
Number 1, having nothing to do with pixies. This is the blue-green bioluminescence created by the oxidative enzyme luciferase, emanated by some species of fungi present in decaying wood.
What the fuck?
Okay.
And this is an expression indicating that an explosive detonation in a confined space is imminent. It originated from American miners who needed to warn their fellows that a charge had been set It's also said by the gentleman in Elizabethtown who blows up a house.
Okay. So it's something fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole. Yep.
Is it like fairy fire in the hole?
Oh.
You see what I did there. It is
Damn,
fairy
great
fire in the hole.
job.
Does.
Oh,
Doesn't have anything to do with pixies.
Thank you.
that was
But yeah,
amazing.
Thank you.
Fairy fire is fungal
Fairy,
bioluminescence.
that's a cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very cool. All right. All right. That was great. Number
That
2.
was awesome.
Sick.
Jimi Hendrix never lived to see this mental disorder characterized by periods of depression and periods of abnormally elevated mood that each last from days to weeks, renamed to bipolar disorder. And this is a type of chemical union that involves the electrostatic attraction between two atoms with sharply different electronegativities. For example, sodium and chloride joining to make table salt.
What can you say the second part one more time?
Yeah. Same question.
This is a type of chemical union that involves the electrostatic attraction between two atoms with sharply different electronegativities.
Rude.
What would you call a type of
Yes, please lead us to this.
what would you call a type of atom that has a charge associated with it that is out of balance?
Proton. Wait, a charge that's out of balance?
Right, it's either negative or positively charged.
Listen, I'm a computer scientist, not a real scientist.
If
Okay.
if you watch any science fiction, this is the type of canon that just disables electronics but does not
Man.
hurt people. It's also a terrestrial television channel where you can watch reruns of Diagnosis Murder and other such
Oh,
shows.
Ion.
Yes,
Oh,
thank you.
Ion.
Ion. Great.
Okay. Woo.
Thank
So
you.
when
Thank you.
when ions
Bring it to
come
TV
together,
show. Now we're speaking my language.
when ions come together, that process is called
Ionization?
it's
That's not
well
right.
it's
That's what they do with the air.
yeah. It's ionic is really the first part. And then
Okay.
things coming together the way that maybe a father and son might on a road trip. Or a British secret agent might have this last name that can be turned into that.
It's a
Yes.
bond. Thank you.
Great.
Please, thank you for making this as dumb as it
Boy,
could
you know,
possibly be.
we've been
This was the
Okay.
hard
doing a good job the
Ionic
last few
bond.
episodes.
Okay, so what do
It
we do with-
legit took me like 45 minutes to write this one. I got into such a hole writing it that I think this one is probably just bad. But I was
No.
like, I went through hell. I'm
think
going
no.
to keep going.
I think you just assume
Yeah.
we're a little bit smarter than we are, which we appreciate.
Yeah, no, I
But
think
I
You know what?
don't like that you're letting people know that we're
flattering, but embarrassing.
We'll edit all of that out. So the last half is ionic bonding. Okay.
Okay.
Ionic
Okay.
bonding. That's
Okay.
the process
Oh,
of atoms
okay.
with different charges coming together to form a new thing. Table
And the
salt
other
is an
one?
ionic bond between sodium and chloride. The first
Okay.
half, Jimi Hendrix never
Hendrix.
lived to see this.
Manionic
Hmm?
bond? Sorry, I was trying to say manic and ionic, and I didn't do a good job.
Is it
What's-
manic and ionic?
Do you know the name of the Jimi
Mania?
Hendrix song I'm referencing?
Okay.
Oh, no.
Hold on.
Okay.
No.
It's a.
All
What
along
was
the
the thing you
Watchtower.
called
That's the only one.
bipolar? What was the thing that bipolar was called before?
Mania? What do we mean?
Called
Manic
bipolar.
depressive. Manic depressive.
I would say manic depressive.
Now
But-
make depressive end where ion would bump into it.
Manic depressionic bonding. That's a little. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
what you did.
Manic
know-
depress
I get it.
ionic bonding. You see what I did there?
Okay.
I'm so glad we
Manic
did this
depress
together.
ionic.
You know what? You know
It's a
what?
very good
You know
Jimi Hendrix
what?
song. Manic Depression is a very good Jimi Hendrix song.
Oh, I was wondering why you were bringing up Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
I was like,
I was
Was he
look. I was hoping
manic
that
depressive?
maybe I was like Cameron Crowe puts all these all this old music in his movies. I'll make a
Oh,
Hendrix
good
reference. We'll
point.
do that.
I
Yeah.
thought that's
No, I
smart.
see what
you
you
did a
did.
good job. You're smarter than us.
It's a
You know
banger
what?
of a
Accept
song
that.
too.
You did a good job.
Nate?
This was a good one. We're
Thank
just
you.
not
yeah,
the
you did a good
audience.
job. Nate, I just want to say one thing. You're my manic pixie dream girl.
Aw.
Okay, great. I do
You
put an
took us
extraordinary
on
amount of
such a
time into
road
something
trip.
that's absurd. I appear
All
out of
right,
nowhere
we're
to
going
say
to
a nice
Nashville.
thing and then disappear. It's great.
A scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
You just did a
Beautiful.
scavenger hunt for us.
Thank you.
Let me breadcrumb you through the depths of my mind palace. Okay, number 3.
Yeah.
New Slang is a song by this band that will change Zach Braff's life in Garden State. And these are sturdy devices that support and protect a broken bone or injured tissue.
The shin splints.
The shin splints. You see what I did there. Well done.
Crushed it,
Boom.
dude. Crushed it, dude.
That's the
Splints.
thing.
Oh my god.
When they're better written, they work better. That's why I take responsibility.
The other one was well written. You were banking on one of us knowing the Jimi Hendrix song, which was smart.
And
But we're
also some science,
which seems like basic science, which was nice of you.
does,
That
it
was
does,
very
it
kind
does.
of you to assume that we understood that.
That we
public
all remembered
apologies
like
to
ninth
my
grade
chemistry teacher.
Yeah. Okay, number 4. Kate Hudson's character in Almost Famous shares a name with this Beatles song about buoyant, nostalgic simplicity on a single street. And this is the act of riding a bicycle or motorcycle between rows of slow-moving or stopped traffic, sometimes called white lining or stripe riding.
Penny lane changing, lane swerving, lane riding, lane tightroping, lane expanding out,
You're cutting that lane in half. What are you doing to that lane?
lane splitting,
Bisecting.
Lane splitting.
lane
Oh.
That's
splitting.
it. You see what I did there? Penny lane splitting.
See it now. I overshot. You're cutting it in half. Bisecting.
You made it too smart.
This one's kind of all over the place. Admittedly,
Also, hold on. I'm glad you knew Penny Lane because I was like, sexy Sadie.
also a good song. What has she done? She's made a fool of everyone. All right, number 5. Shirley MacLaine may have missed out on an Oscar for The Apartment, but she got a win from this 1983 family tragic comedy starring Deborah Winger, Jack Nicholson, Danny DeVito, Jeff Daniels, and John Lithgow.
Wow.
And this is an organic compound made synthetically or obtained from the oils of corn mint, peppermint, or other mints, and recently almost banned for use in cigarettes.
Menthol.
Great. Menthol.
Okay.
Now you need a Shirley
All
MacLaine
good
Oscar
menthol.
movie.
All the good menthol.
A few good
few
ones?
good menthol.
I mean, Jack Nicholson is in A Few Good Men, so that would almost work.
Damn.
Think about
I don't know who Shirley MacLaine is, so I'm
Okay.
I'm
picturing
working
her,
from
but I've
menthol
never seen all of A
backwards.
Few Good Men, so I just kind of like.
this is gonna be tricky. When you download and install a new app or program, you usually have to sign this agreement before you can access it.
Terms and conditions. Terms
Okay.
of endearmentals.
Terms of endearmental. Thank you.
Whoa!
You see what I did there?
Oh my god, for the listener, Nate looked so excited that Chelsea got that. This was a beautiful moment.
I was just really because I was trying to figure out how the fuck am I gonna get endearment out of this now? Like, okay, so Bambi.
Oh.
It was gonna be really
Just
bad.
doing-
So yes, thank you.
Charades.
And that was I see what you did there.
Nice.
Yay!
Fun.
So now it's time to talk Debs. We got to talk Debs about Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
How many dubs? How many dubs? How many dubs? How many dubs?
Ooh,
This is a tricky one. It's a real tricky
this
one.
is a tricky one.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump in first. I'm gonna say
Go.
2 for the concept, 5 for the
Yeah.
conversation.
Okay.
Because
I
feel
definitely
like
agree.
I've really
Go on.
learned a lot in this and kind of expanded how I thought about things.
Definitely agree. 5 for the convo.
Mhm.
I feel like I don't understand what the concept is anymore.
That's fair.
The ones in the movies I watched were wonderful women.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I'm sitting on a 5 for our conversation and for what this provokes, and a 1 for the label, because I feel like the label ultimately, like, I think we talked our way through how reductive it is, how it doesn't do anything but sort of deride the idea of an independent woman doing something cool in relation to a man that sucks,
Yeah.
instead of just being like, no, but it was the man that sucked the whole time. Look at the man. The man is the problem. Both the man
Brought to you
in the
by
movie.
M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that I don't like the label, but I feel like I now also have, so I guess 1 star. I also have this like, now I also have a problem with the way that people critique it,
Oh.
because I feel like they're still operating within the world of agreeing that the woman is written two-dimensional, and they're saying that that's a bad thing to do. But I think that not all of them were two-dimensional. Like, I think that there's an additional step that we could take.
And I think I would just loop back around to it's not the character, but the use of the character. And that's like the biggest.
Yeah.
Kelly,
yeah.
whenever you said that, I was like, yeah, that's 100% what's happening here. It's not the Manic Pixie Dream Girl that's the problem. It's the use of her.
And ain't that the truth in real life half the time too?
I'm sorry, did you just drop a mic? I just saw it fall on the ground. I am not sure.
I did. And I can't afford that right now.
It's currently raining microphones. It's like you had one of those balloon trap doors full of microphones behind you.
That's my Manic Pixie Dream Girl stunt for the episode.
I'm glad you're wearing a hard hat, though, because that could have really been
give
dangerous.
myself a concussion.
Yeah. And Mouse has a cute little hard hat, too.
Oh,
well, that was important. He's got a matching, like, construction vest, too, so I can see him at night.
Yeah, I think that there's ultimately the deep problem here is this sort of it's the use thing. Absolutely. I think that summarizes it really well. It's also this idea of setting up a fantasy just so you can mock the fantasy. Because that's like it ultimately makes the Manic Pixie Dream Girl whole thing like a straw man argument, where it's just like, hey, we're gonna make up a thing that doesn't really exist.
Right.
And then we're going to tear it down because that will prove something about how stupid women are, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Like that seems to be some of the implication, or it's just how stupid these actresses are. I don't know. It's something, there's something that's low key, because I don't even think that maybe Nathan Rabin was like overtly being like, I don't like Kirsten Dunst and she shouldn't be in movies. I'm going to take her down. But I think there's this ingrained, like, well, I'm a critic and I am a high-minded academic about things, and therefore I'm going to address this person as if they don't belong because they're not doing the things that people who I think I respect do, even though it ultimately turns out most of the people who did those things were shitty men who did really gross stuff all the time.
Surprise!
Surprise! Men bad.
Yeah. Not all the time. Not all men.
Not all the time.
Not all men.
Women can be shitty too.
Hashtag sometimes all men.
Sometimes all men. I would love to see more dirtbag woman representation.
Yeah.
I think that we cannot have equality until we see
I agree.
truly
More
dirtbag women.
Yeah, we should isn't like
That's
bad.
the problem,
Is Bad
is it?
Teacher a good movie? I don't think I've ever seen it. Isn't that like?
I haven't either.
But doesn't she like?
I don't know.
I didn't. I did see it. I worked in a movie theater when it came out. I do not remember it.
Because Cameron Diaz is in that, and there's like Young Adult is the Charlize Theron one.
Oh, I
She's
did like
kind of a
that.
dirtbag.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah. So there's some,
Rose
but it's
Diablo
like that's
Cody.
two. That's two that I could list. That's not. That's
But
not
you could
very many.
probably list like you could probably start naming movies and not end it, and it would be the same length as this episode.
This
For
is
men,
true.
if you're looking at dirtbag men,
Oh,
like
yeah.
most things.
Most
like,
movies
yeah.
feature men who are dirtbags redeeming themselves or doubling down on their dirtbaggery. Those are kind of
Right.
the paths.
But you don't want,
Yeah.
but you don't want a man to write a dirtbag woman because that's not fair. A woman's
No.
got to ride a dirtbag woman, right?
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's where I think that
I
we
mean, I
have-
think.
Ooh,
See, now we're getting into a whole other topic.
I think 1,000 monkeys at 1,000 typewriters need to write the next
Dirtbag woman.
dirtbag movie.
Dirtbag woman. I'm just saying that sometimes some really good movies are made, even though they were written by men.
What?
Or sometimes,
Where-
hey, look, broken
Hold
clocks.
on, let me finish.
Broken
Let me
clocks.
finish the thought. Like, for example, Alien. It was the
Written for a
main
man.
character originally was supposed to be a man, and then they just swapped in a gal. And I think that could, maybe we could find some dirtbag women written by men that way.
Mm.
I think that I would like to find more women to write the dirtbag women.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I don't want to say no men writing dirtbag women
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
I think
I will
I could be
accept that.
swayed to say that. Could we make a sister film to Elizabethtown about what Kirsten Dunst was up to when she wasn't on screen with Legolas?
I would like
I'm
that.
sorry that I can't remember his name.
Drew. His name's Drew.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah.
But
That
we
could
don't
be
need to
interesting.
remember him because his character didn't matter.
Yeah, can
This
we
is
do
true,
that in
yeah.
our movie?
I just, yeah. I mean, it seemed like I feel like she was a fully thought out character that had a life, but he
She
did
had
not.
a deep interior life.
But he
Yeah.
didn't. And that was like his life was his job, and his life was the one girlfriend that we didn't even believe he actually dated at any point. Just me. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah. But like, I was like, were they together or were they not together? I don't know what this dynamic is. It feels very weird. But he
Yeah.
had no association to his family. He had no friends. It just didn't seem, he was not a fully thought out character. She was more
Yeah.
thought out than
Yeah.
he was. That's why this is so hard to stomach, is that like, if you want to talk about a badly written character, it was the main character. And maybe
Mhm.
it relying so hard on her was just like,
Yeah.
you want to criticize
That
the one
sums it
thing
up.
because you feel like that person, because you are that person with no friends.
All of these very emotional
Sorry,
things are set
Nathan.
up in the movie.
Person. Not you, Nate.
No, it's
the one
okay.
who wrote the article.
Yeah. No. Hey, look, I suffer for all Nathan's sins. But yeah, the part of the problem is it's like, hey, Cameron Crowe, you set up a character who has a lot of stuff going on, and then you go out of your way to make it so that he never really addresses any of it in any sort.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder if the scene where he is talking to the urn, if that was like a real scene and that they had to put music over it because he couldn't stop with his accent.
That's what I always
Like, I
assume.
wonder if it was supposed to be like really deep and good, and then like they were like, oh, we can't fucking use that.
Yeah. Well, and same thing with the all night phone call with Kirsten Dunst. It's all just like montage.
Mhm.
We can't hear the actual conversation because, God damn it, my boy cannot act. I think that this could have been a good movie. I know that that is not the topic of this
But
episode.
it is the point of this is that we watched this movie because we wanted to understand the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, and in the end, what we took away was this movie could have been good. Orlando Bloom can't act. Wish this could have been the greatest movie of all time had it been a different person.
Entirely
Probably not.
possible, yeah.
Probably not that high, but it could have been a really, really great movie. Maybe even won some award.
Yeah, if Orlando Bloom sat
Maybe,
through the whole
yeah.
movie not being recorded, just mouthing peas and carrots, peas and carrots, peas and carrots,
Might have
and
worked.
we had like a dramatic
Throw in a
soundtrack and
watermelon.
Kirsten Dunst could say things, that would probably work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Could we've gotten Tobey Maguire?
Rhubarb.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, then it would just be
Yeah.
Spider-Man, but like nice.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So what? I don't know what the number is on that.
1.33. So
Great.
if we're going with how we feel
1.33.
about
Wow.
Manic Pixie Dream Girl, and then
Yeah.
if we're talking about conversation 5.
Five in the
Wait,
combo.
were
for
we
sure.
adding them all
But-
together? Because I don't know if it's 15 and then 4 and then divided by 3. 19 divided by 3. Nope.
That's too many.
I did math wrong.
That's too many. We got to
18?
average the
19.
two. Look, it's not. It's. We're good.
It's a number. It's just a number. We can't science. We can't math.
We don't need to.
We're pretty.
2.11? No, that's not right.
We're manic. We're
I
Pixie,
reduced
We're
I
dream
reduced
girling.
some math.
It's true.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh,
We're taking it back.
we're taking it back. for our next episode, we're going to talk about the kind of movie that might have been left in the woods. Possibly after Witch Attack, but probably not, because this almost certainly happened earlier. We're going to talk about the first found footage film. Or short. I'm not sure. This is, Kelly, this is your baby.
Yep, forgot to look it up. I do remember that the first horror found footage was Cannibal Holocaust, but the first actual found footage movie, I remember that it was directed by a woman.
I think
Great.
it's called
And
Connections.
that it was a drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was it?
Connections. I did look it up.
I believe it.
Nice. And I started reading about it, and then my brain forgot about it. So I have no more than that.
It's because we had to Manic Pixie Dream Girl for this
It's
week.
true. It's true.
Next time,
Next time, we're going to be coming with
we'll know
records and tapes. So we're gonna talk about the first found footage on our next episode. Buckle up, strap in, light the projector bulb, get ready.
Yeah, get your tissues for your
find
up the nose shots.
Yeah, you're gonna maybe you're gonna get a nosebleed because this is gonna be a wild ride.
Oh shit.
Yeah, just get ready. You're gonna pay for the whole seat. You're only gonna use the front edge. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, rate, review us wherever you listen. Go to Apple. Go to the podcast app. Open it. Find us, Debut Buddies.
Presumably you're already there.
Scroll down to where it offers you the opportunity to rate and or review us. Give us 5 stars. Tell us what you think about all this. What do you think about Elizabethtown? What do you think about Bringing Up Baby? What do you think about Garden State? What do you think about Manic Pixie Dream Girls? Are you or have you ever been a member of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl party? Declare your status and give us 5 stars.
Declare your status.
Declare. Hey! I didn't even do that on purpose. That was great.
Do you see what I did?
She's an angel. She's working in mysterious ways.
Yeah, I guess so.
We would love that. Email us, debutbuddies@gmail.com if you have questions. If you have suggestions, do you want to be on the show? Do you have an idea for something we should cover? Let us know. We want to talk to you. We would love questions that we can do a mailbag episode about. If you like the music in the show, I would love for you to go to Michael J. O'Connor's website. That is michaeljoconnor.bandcamp.com. You can find him and his amazing work. You can also probably find information on the tour, the miniature tour that he might still be on at time of release, but maybe not. But look, you can still listen to the music of his new band called Daniel Stern. And if you want to read some books, go to readspaceboy.com.
And if you miss me and Chelsea in the off weeks of Debut Buddies, you can find us over on Never Show the Monster, where we talk about scary movies.
Spooky.
So spooky.
We did it. We did another one.
We did it.
We did it.
Can you believe it?
So proud of us.
Barely.
So, listeners, before we go, I just want you to know that the 3 of us are currently at an excavation site, and we are going to go stand on the edge, and we're going to scream into the void for a little bit.
Yeah.
Do that for a while.
So we just hope that this podcast changed your life.
Are we going to do something random that we only do once? Blah, 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 blah. No, she already did that in the movie.
Booble double boop bop.
No, I hate this.
Yeah.
Yo-ha!
Yeah.
Yo!
Bye, buddies.
First